What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Another season done and dusted. But we end with a trophy. We end as European champions, champions of the Europa League. It doesn't come without kind of bad things to go with it, because we did finish 17th as well with a record number of defeats in the Premier League. So I think...
at least we got the song. 17th, I don't know.
Mate,
wow.
the vibes coming out towards
the
end of the season has just been unmatched. They've been incredible. But
Marlon said yesterday when we were 1-0 up, he said, God, even the song they're going to take away from us. They're going to take that away. Well, we still have it. We still have it, people.
Even if we would have won, the song would have stayed with us. But I just feel like there's so much conversation going on right now. Ange in, Ange out. And I think everyone has kind of valid points, don't they? Whether you're Ange out right now, I think there are valid points to it. Whether you're Ange in right now, I think there are valid points to it. We'll get into all that in a bit.
But vote in the poll. I want to know what you're kind of feeling. I want to know what the chat's feeling. So there's a poll right now running in the chat, Ange in or Ange out. We just want to get a bit of a temperature check where people what the feeling is. So it'll be interesting to know. So yeah, put it in the chat, kind of in the poll.
Yeah, so we're going to get into a lot of this stream. We're going to talk about the weekend. We're going to talk about Ange. We got a bit of an update for you, and the last review, the Prem of the season as well. But 5 minutes ago, I put out this poll. 139 of you have voted, and 182 of you in the chat. So get voting, people. It's 57%, 58% Ange in now, and 42% Ange out, which is very interesting. And I'm hoping by the end of it, it will be more Ange in than out. But I guess let's start off with yesterday. We did lose 4-1 to Brighton. We all thought, like, what the hell? What team is Ange going to put out there, when we saw the players just completely and utterly drenched in alcohol for the past 3 or 4 days? Brennan Johnson, the likes of Brennan Johnson, Bentancur, Romero, Son, Maddison, loads of different players on top of them. Just, we didn't think they'll be able to make it on the pitch. So the ones that did make it onto the pitch, credit to them, because I think the way we came out in the first half, I thought we were playing really well first 45 minutes. And I thought it was definitely a case of the players feeding off the energy from the fans, because the fans were giving it a lot of energy. There were flags that the club put on every seat in the stadium. The vibes were absolutely immaculate. The songs were flowing. The drinks were flowing. And as soon as you got into the stadium, it was just mad noise. Like, it was actually deafening. I walked in there and I was like, wow, this noise is actually mad. And the Spurs fans must have been as hungover as the Spurs players, because, like, look, my voice is still croaky. We've been out pretty much most nights since the final, late nights, hardly any sleep, a lot of alcohol consumed. The celebrations have been incredible, pretty much better than I could ever imagine what the winning a European trophy would be like. The parade was just a dream. It was literally a dream day, that parade day. The night of lifting that trophy was also just a complete dream. And I'm still pinching myself right now, think, was that actually real? Did that actually happen? Like, are we sitting here really as European champions? And I'm just blown away by the whole thing. I really am.
The last few days have been a fever dream. It really has. Ever since that final whistle went in Bilbao, it's literally been stuff of dreams. Something we always thought what could be in these kind of moments. And obviously, look, we've obviously been through the win and everything. But obviously, I wasn't there yesterday. But I saw some of the atmosphere that when the flags came out, the fact that when we scored the 4th goal, I saw the flags come out again after they scored the 4th goal. I mean, yesterday. That just goes to show the kind of feeling amongst the fans. It's just so amazing when you consider it wasn't that long ago that there was so much kind of negativity and toxicity surrounding the fan base, and, you know, Tell jumping into the crowd, having to calm fans down, and having altercations with fans, all these kind of things during the season. It's all just been washed away in one fell swoop. Literally, I don't think there has been as much joy and happiness and proudness, I think, of Tottenham for a long, long time, to be honest, than right now. And that's all happened literally in one moment, one game, and it's all that negativity and toxicity and everything has just faded away into the background.
Because this is all we've ever wanted. Like, I have literally dreamt of that day of Spurs doing a parade down the high road since I can remember. Literally, like, this is all we've ever wanted. We wanted success at this football club. We wanted to see our players lift the trophy, particularly someone like Son Heung-min that has been here for so long, given so much to this football club. It's you know, he deserves it more than anyone. The fans deserve it more than anyone. And it's what we've been craving for so long. And we all sing over the years, my eyes have seen the glory of the cups at White Hart Lane. And we've all felt like a bit like a fraud singing that because we've never actually seen glory with our own eyes. We've seen a few Carabao Cups, but this is real glory.
This is
real glory. This is a European trophy that we can brag about all summer. You know what I mean? Like, this is exactly all we've ever wanted. So we can puff our chests out all summer and we can sing, my eyes have seen the glory of the cups at White Hart Lane. Like, that's literally all I've ever wanted.
The European success, European trophy. And yeah, in terms of just going back to yesterday, the fans obviously seemed in brilliant mood. I don't know how it was in the concourses before the game. Was it popping off?
It was popping off like never before. It really was. Like, cast your mind back to when we beat Arsenal 3-0 and how packed it was on that concourse.
What about like Bodo, before the Bodo game?
Before the Bodo, it was more than all of that.
Really?
It was more than all of
wow,
that. You literally could not move in there. You could not move. The 3 tiers of the stadium was packed. Songs were flowing. It was just mad. Like, literally everyone was in such a good mood. And it was basically like the parade has just been extended to the game. That's what it was like.
And after the game?
After the game, yeah, I mean, the bars were packed. Not many people were like in the concourses, like singing their hearts out, but it was more just like the bars were packed, people enjoying a drink. I mean, because you had the whole parade and then people were, after the game, you know, the lap of honour with the trophy, and people were filtering out through then. So I think it was like kind of staggered people. So I stayed till the end of the parade, so I don't know what it was like a bit before then, but it was still good vibes. Like, people were outside, you know, in the outside bit, and it was packed there. It was packed in the bar inside. I mean, fans were everywhere. It just wasn't that kind of crazy singing like it was before the game.
Yeah, but it's good. It's really good to know about like that the atmosphere was that good before the game, which is obviously expected considering just how happy everyone is right now. In terms of just touching on the game, also we did take the lead with that Solanke penalty. Good, nice penalty, but you just got the feeling, it was only 1-0. Like, it was always probably going to fall apart at some point. Yeah. It's just a bit annoying how it did. Like, the 2 corners that we just conceded from, just massive slices of luck. But to be fair, you can't really say it wasn't coming because Brighton were kind of all over us. And that's
I tell you the truth. Like, I barely watched a kick of that game, to be honest. I mean, I was watching in the first half. I thought we put on some nice patterns of play. We looked up for it.
Tell was looking decent, I thought. First half. I thought he looked quite good.
He did, and the way he won the penalty was good, and it was a nice pass in behind by Pape.
Should have scored again. Had that one-on-one.
I mean, I thought he was just going to slide that past the keeper, but it just kind of rolled into the keeper's arms, which was a poor finish. But yeah, look, there was some nice movements, some nice patterns of play. Like I said before, I felt like the players were definitely feeding off the energy that the fans were giving them. And I was saying to Barry, who was sitting next to me, like, yeah, well, the players should be going out drinking pretty much every week, like, if we're going to play like this, because that first half was probably the best we played in the league for a while, which you've got to say, but it definitely caught up to them in the second half. And I genuinely thought like at halftime, Ange was going to make like 2 or 3 changes at halftime. I think he made 1. I think Odegaard came on for Pape. Bentancur, I thought, was like looking to get sent off in that first half, to be fair, with the challenges that he was putting in. I thought he was going to come off at halftime, but yeah, second half, it just all caught up to them and they couldn't get out of their half. Brighton were penned us in. They were battering us. They were creating chances and we just had no answer to it, to be honest.
Yeah. The 2 goals there, the first 2 goals are 2 Hinchelwood corners, though. It was just a bit annoying because it was just bobbling all around the box and it just falls to him on both occasions. And credit to him, he finishes them pretty well, both of them. One into the roof of the net, one back heel. But big slices of luck in how it fell to him. Because I think both of the first one deflects off Solanke and falls into his path. I think the second one, deflects off Danso. So like massive slice of luck. But I guess when you're peppering us, you earn your own luck. Yeah. Then the third one, got to say, it's a terrible challenge from Basuma. It's really bad. Like, similar to some of his challenges he's made for penalties this season, I think against Chelsea, and bit of a brainless challenge. And then the fourth one, you just got to applaud that strike. What a goal. One of the goals of the season, you have to say that.
Yeah.
Or good 35 yards out.
Yeah.
And just absolutely battered that into the corner. What a goal. So we end up losing 4-1. Wasn't a great result, but I think, again, it showed the mood around the club that when that fourth goal goes in, they cut to the fans. They were getting the flags back out. They started chanting. It was a weird one because obviously I was doing the watch along and there was, a few thousand in the chat, and they were really going in on the team, and they were really like going crazy. And I was sitting there basically not caring about what was going on because I just couldn't care less, basically, that we were losing 4-1. And clearly that was kind of the mood in the stadium, I think, as well. I don't think there were any boos or anything. I'm guessing when the full-time whistle went, I'm guessing there were no boos or anything, or anything like that.
That was a cheer.
That was a cheer, exactly. So literally, like, no one really cared, but like the whole chat was like, "You're embarrassing yourself. How do you not care about this? Like, we're 22 defeats, we're 17th. This is embarrassing. I can't like the whole chat was full of it." So like, I was like, what is going on? Like, do people actually care? What about this game? Is it just online people? Is it just people in the chat? Are these bots like chatting, or are these real people actually caring about what we're saying?
If any of you guys were in the chat that were putting in messages like that, let me ask.
Full of it. It was like literally so much negativity.
Let me ask this: like, if we would have won the game yesterday, and we still would have finished and we would have still finished 17th because Manchester United and West Ham won yesterday, would your opinions on the season change at all? Like, would it have made the blindest bit of difference to what your feelings are towards the management, towards the club, and towards the season we just had? Would it have made any difference?
No, but it's also like, everyone knew going into this game. We said it in the preview, like, we're going to lose. Like, the team have been drinking for 3 days straight. Yeah. They've celebrating a monumental achievement. We are going to lose this game, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we finish 17th or 14th or whatever we finish. We've won that European trophy, right? So this last game doesn't make blind bit of difference to anything. So we knew we were going to lose. We were expecting a loss. We did end up losing. And so I don't understand. I've seen it a bit on X as well, not as much, but, I've seen a bit on X. It was in our chat. Like, if you're picking this moment to complain about a loss and a bad performance right now, like, you're just like a miserable person. Like, how can you be miserable right now and be complaining when we've just had the best moment in our lives? Yes, I understand there's been a lot of pain this season, a lot of defeats, and a lot of people can't overlook that, and that's fair enough, each to their own. But when it comes to right now, we're not even a week away from that final win, from that trophy, right? When we're a few days after it. And yes, we lost that game yesterday, and it was another bad performance. But if you're like picking that moment to say another bad performance, like, how is this acceptable? All this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, like, you're just miserable. A lot of people in the chat were saying yesterday, your standards of, you're normalizing losing. Where are your standards? Him was like, we just won a trophy. What standards? That's my standard. That I wanted that trophy, winning, glory. That's what football's all about. It's all about winning trophies. That's the number one thing. So if that's not a good enough standard for you, then fair enough. If you would rather, I care so much about little league wins at this point in the season, you can do that. But I care about the trophy. That's all I've cared about this season. That's what this club has been obsessed about, especially a big European trophy. So I just don't understand these people picking this game specifically to like get mad, get angry about. I think there's a lot to have been angry about this whole season. I get it, but like, after this game, no one should be being angry. I'm sorry.
100%. Like you said, less than a week away from a famous night in Bilbao where we've taken home a trophy, a major significant moment in our history. It really is. Don't get it twisted. That was a major significant part of our history, added to our long illustrious record in Europe. Third UEFA Cup Europa League that we've brought home, second most amount of UEFA Cup Europa Leagues in the history of the competition. Like, at what point? Yes, I get the whole season has been a bit of a shit show in terms of the league campaign, going out in the FA Cup fourth round. Carabao, we got to the semi-final, which is decent. But at what point after winning that trophy are we going to sit here as a fan base and just be happy Have some smiles on your faces. This is what we've been wanting for so long. Like, can't we all just come together and just be happy and celebrate it all summer, because it's a significant monumental achievement, which is what we've done this season.
Mm-hmm. Well, part of me thinks that is what we're doing. It's just a lot of maybe loud people on social media who, I mean, not a lot, because I don't think it's people with large followings. A lot of the times people with just maybe quite a small minority of small followings who are saying these kind of things in the chat. Because as I said, this is why I'm getting confused, because I'm seeing that in the chat and it's a lot of it, but then you look at the stadium yesterday and there was none of that, not an ounce of it. You're saying, like, it was all positive. You know what I mean? The fourth goal goes in and they start saying, oh, when the Spurs, there was a cheer at the full time even though we lost 4-1. So maybe it's just an online thing. Yeah,
it's definitely an online thing in my opinion, but you know, the online thing does get loud. And I mean, to be honest, I haven't taken too much notice of it. I've seen a few YouTube channels and stuff, you know, being quite negative and a lot of conversation going on there, but I prefer to live in the world of reality inside the stadium, in and around Tottenham, and in those facets and in those kind of circles, it has been 100% positive and 100% behind the club and 100% in a celebratory mood. So that's where I prefer to live, and I'm just so happy, guys. I'm just so happy, and I tell you what, as much as I've been going in on the club, going in on Ange, going in on Levy, going in on everyone this season, and I've been really negative throughout the whole season, you know, and I think I've been well within my rights to, with the way that we've performed for the most part of the season. You know, there was a part of me that was falling out of love with the club because of how we've been and because of how the management have managed the club. But after Bilbao, that night in Bilbao, the night in Frankfurt, the night in Bodo, has made me fall in love with the club all over again. And I love my football club. And this is what it's all about.
If you can't be happy in these moments...
This is what it's all about, people.
Like, these are the moments that we should be cherishing, and these are the moments that we support, we like football for, we love football for. These moments right now, right here, right now, in this moment, basking in the glory of a European trophy, a triumph that we haven't experienced in many, many years, decades we've gone without experiencing moments like this. So if you can't sit here and be happy, just enjoy it right now. And instead of worrying about anything else, oh, we're 17th and being embarrassed by that and all, like, that doesn't matter. These are the moments to enjoy and be happy as a football fan. If you can't do that, then you know you're never going to enjoy watching football, because you're always going to have something to complain about. There's always going to be something else. If you have to enjoy this moment right now.
There's a reason as well why you look around at this Arsenal fan base right now, and they're in bits. They're in literal bits because of what Spurs have done this season. And they know, like, because it's such a significant achievement for Tottenham to do what we've done, something that Arsenal have never done in their whole history, by the way. That proves, just seeing the Arsenal fan reaction just proves to you how the Spurs fans should be reacting right now. And that is just being the most happiest mood that you've been in since 1984.
Exactly. Stick it to them.
Exactly. That's what we should be doing all summer. Sticking it to them, celebrating, and just being happy, guys. It's time to be happy. It's no time for splits in the fan base. It's no time for negativity. This is a time to be together, be happy, and celebration. That's what this is all about now, because we've brought home a trophy, first European trophy since 1984. And I'll keep saying it till it drums into everyone's head, because this is such a significant achievement that Spurs have done. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to keep repeating it. Because I just tell you what, I'm the only thing that's frustrating me right now is just some of the reaction from some of the fans. But I would say the majority, 95% of the fans, I think, are kind of the same thinking as me, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about fans. I mean, we're going to get into the whole Ange and out stuff later, but I'm not even talking about fans who are saying Ange still needs to go after this, because look, there are fair arguments for that. It's just more about fans yesterday who were like complaining that we lost. It's like, come on. Really? That's what you're going to complain? That's what you're going to take away from yesterday? Is that we lost a game of football and finished 17th? That, you know, that's what you care about after yesterday? Is that's what you're focusing on? Really? Like, come on.
I was buzzing to get to that stadium yesterday, knowing full well that Spurs were going to lose, knowing full well that Spurs were probably going to get battered in the game. Like, what would you expect? Like, if you were out drinking for 4 days and then you went on the pitch the next day, like, do you really expect that Spurs are going to put in a competent performance and go and win the game? It's a credit to them to just get out on the pitch and perform like they did in the first 45 minutes. So I say big up to the players. big up to the players for getting onto that pitch and putting in some sort of a coherent performance in the first half, looking decent. I was buzzing to get down to that stadium. Nothing to do with the 90 minutes of football. It was due to a day of extending the celebrations from Bilbao to the parade into the stadium. That's what it was for me, because I knew that was going to be the last day of celebration where we're all together until next season. And that's what all yesterday was about. It was a day of celebration, a day of coming together, and basically it felt like a bit like last day of school kind of vibes where, jovial, happy, celebratory, drinks were flowing, songs were flowing. And that's what it's all about. That's what being a football fan's about. If you can't enjoy these days, you're never going to enjoy any day. So you may as well just pack it in and go home.
Exactly. So that's, I think, all I got to say about some of the fans who are just being negative Nancy's. I think it's one term, and that's it. Like we've got another potential European trophy up for grabs at the beginning of next season.
Did you hear about this other thing that we're in?
Another thing?
Yeah, we're in another thing that we could lift another trophy. We could lift 2 trophies before the end of August, apparently.
What's the other one?
So it's UEFA CONMEBOL trophy where we play this. So in South America, they've also got like 3 tiers of competition, like we do, the Europa League, the Champions League, and so the Europa League winners play like the winners of the 2nd tier in South America.
Oh, really? Where is that being played?
I don't know where it's being played. I was looking for it.
I've never seen anything.
This is the 2nd year of it.
I see. So what? So
Atalanta didn't take part in it last year because there was some sort of reason why I didn't. But Sevilla are the only holders of this competition.
But who won the Champions League last year? So
it wasn't the Champions League. It's the one below the Champions League.
So you don't have a
Scud America or something.
So they don't have a Champions League winner versus the.
They might do. They might do. I don't know. But I don't know. I just saw it was back. Apparently, we're going to be playing Racing Club in a one-off game.
It's like a finalissima.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it as well. I think that's one of the names of it.
Well, finalissima. Well, come on. It's not a European trophy. It's a world trophy, people. We're going to be world champions.
Yeah, it's called
champions of the world.
The UEFA CONMEBOL Challenge Trophy or something.
They do. Real Madrid won it. Because I know they had the Club World Cup, obviously, which was a smaller version than the new Club World Cup, which is obviously this summer. It's like a proper tournament, like before. That's what I thought that was.
It's the UEFA CONMEBOL Club Challenge. That's what it's called.
So when is that going to be?
So last time it was played, it was in like mid-July, like 19th of July, 2023. Was
really?
The last time
so it's like in pre-season time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get another trophy.
Yeah. It's like a shield kind of trophy.
Come on. When's that going to be organised?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll hear about it soon. It was on social media the other day, but apparently we will be playing Racing Club from Argentina.
We could have another 2 trophies in the bag before the start of next season. Come on, people.
So we got that. We got the Super Cup. PSG against Inter. Who do you want, PSG or Inter?
PSG.
I want PSG as well.
Just so if we beat them and the team is not Arsenal out, that would just be amazing. That would be amazing. But yeah, I would love PSG.
And regarding the Champions League as well, for next year, it looks as though we are going to be in pot 3 because they've changed the rulings a bit. I thought we were going to be in pot 1 because of the way
that's how it used to
the
be,
rankings usually works. Europa League winner usually just went straight to pot 1.
Because it was all the winners in pot 1. That's what it was.
But it's not like that anymore. So it goes on coefficient ranking.
But actually, it doesn't really matter what pot you are in
it doesn't.
these days because you're going to play
2 of each pot.
It doesn't matter what pot you are. You're 2 in each. So it just matters. The only reason it matters what pot you are is kind of because you have to play 2 in each pot, and so you have to kind of have teams and pots so you can choose that, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because you still play a team from
before. It did kind of matter because if you're in pot 1, it means you're only playing another pot 1 team. But that doesn't matter. Sorry, I mean any pot 1. So that's what I mean. If you're in pot 1, you're only playing 2, 3, and 4. But now it doesn't matter. Yeah, now it doesn't matter
because it's 2 from each pot.
Yeah,
regardless.
exactly.
So can you play teams from your own country?
No, not in the group phase.
Not in the group phase.
Not in the group phase. There's a lot. By the way, if you look at the new Champions League, there's a lot of teams who we played in the Europa League last year who were in the Champions League.
I've seen Bodo Glimt are there, Frankfurt are there.
Bodo Glimt, Frankfurt, Ferencváros are there as well. Who else?
That would be nice to play Ferencváros with Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane, yeah.
He wasn't the manager when we played them this season, was he?
No, he wasn't. I think he took over after.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. So, we're going to be playing a lot of Champions League teams.
Yeah, and I'm buzzing for it, man. I can't wait to be back in the Champions League. I can't wait to play that Super Cup game as well. I mean, it's just we got all good things coming our way now. It's just like everyone talks about a sliding doors moment, this being a sliding doors moment, and it really is, because if we wouldn't have won that final, 17th, no trophy, no Euro Champions League revenue, like the club would be firmly in the mud. Be hard to see how we maneuver going forward. But now we've made the Champions League. Now we've got that kind of money coming in. Like we can actually kick on now if the board treat it in the right manner.
It's an opportunity, 100%. As Ange said, it's definitely an opportunity, because we nearly were in a very precarious position given the league campaign, and it would have been even worse because, as you say, because of how low we would have finished, the money that would have been available, we would have lost out on like at least 30 million odd because of the league position. So the fact we
would have been more.
Well,
more than 30 million. I mean, we get the Champions League revenue as well.
I'm saying just by a league position, it would have been just from that, it's like 30 million. And obviously no Europe would have been a massive hit as well. So I'm sure it would have been probably even more than sell to buy this summer if that would have been the case, knowing this board. But the fact we got in the Champions League, we got all that revenue, and we got the revenue from winning the Europa League as well, and I don't know how much revenue you get from Super Cup, but maybe that's a few million as well there. So we've got an opportunity now to really kick on and really pass ourselves back.
Cup challenge revenue,
exactly. more revenue. There's a real opportunity to kick on now and get ourselves back to where we should be, and obviously put this league season behind us. We know the problems we've had with all the injuries and all this kind of stuff, and we can just put this league season to bed and really kick on next season and start afresh. And we know we've got the squad we got is a lot better than the position we are in, and we've got some really good players. We've got a basis of a good team. We just need some players who are a lot more comfortable in the Champions League, playing at that kind of level, a lot more experience at that kind of level as well. And we have a team that can really kick on next season. I really believe that. Look, I don't expect us to be challenging for a Champions League, obviously trophy next season or anything like that. But like getting ourselves back in the top 4, top 5 conversation, I don't think is out of the question at all in the next season. And you see how things can change. Look at Forest this season. I know they didn't have European football, but they went from 17th, so they were in the top 5 for a lot of the season. Obviously, they fell away in the Conference League, but they made a big jump. Like, it can happen.
Or just look at Aston Villa. They had Champions League for the first time in a very, very, very long time this season. People are going to be like, how are they going to maneuver Champions League football and the Premier League campaign? And I thought, for the most part, they did that very well. They were very unlucky not to finish in the Champions League spots again for this season. I mean, they got robbed last day of the season to not finish there. They finished, 6th in the end? And they got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Like, if Spurs got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League next year, finish in the top 5, top 6, and hopefully bring home a trophy as well, I think that's a fantastic season for us.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be unbelievable for sure. And obviously, what you got to hope is winning breeds winning. And now they've got the taste for it. Now they've done it. They felt it. They know what it takes to do it. If they can harness that feeling going into next season, then they'll hopefully. A lot of these games, a lot of it within football, a lot of it is momentum and belief and confidence in yourself. And for a lot of this season, I think clearly we've been lacking that, especially with a lot of young players as well, playing their first season in the Premier League, especially when you're on a losing streak and you're getting criticism all over the place and all your best players are out and all this kind of stuff. And you kind of get yourself into a funk, and it's hard to get yourself out of that, especially when you're not that experienced at this level. But to come away from that with a trophy win in the manner and the joy it's brought everyone, and the togetherness it's brought the squad, I can really see us being in a different way next season. I really can. And I know it's hard for people to see that, but I truly believe that. But look, I guess we'll get into the Ange situation in a bit, but yeah, I really believe, regardless of if he stays or goes, I think we really should be in a different situation next season.
I agree. By the way, prize money for the Super Cup, 3.8 million euros for a runner-up and 5 million euros for the winner.
All right.
So it's significant. So we've already bagged minimum from the Super Cup 3.8.
There you
euros,
go.
That is, by the way.
There you go.
So, I mean, yeah, interesting. A good revenues coming Spurs' way for these UEFA competitions.
How many concerts we got over the summer?
The thing that does piss me off, though, like, Manchester United basically are at the other side of that sliding doors moment to us, right? They finish 16th, no European football next season, blah, blah, blah. All this talk about Manchester United and financial issues, and they really needed the Champions League money. But then straight away they go out and get Cunha. Splash that on the release clause.
There's talks of the lap now.
You know what I mean? Like, already we're on the better side, they're on the worse side, and they've made a significant step to improving their squad already, which has pissed me off a little bit. And I see it, you know, it was similar as well to when Spurs got Champions League and Arsenal finished outside the Champions League after we beat them 3-0. They went on to kick on and we didn't. So we need to act fast, we need to act strong, and we need to act with purpose in the market right now.
Well, I think that leads on to the talk about Postecoglou, because I think that's a big problem right now when it comes to doing what you're saying, because all this uncertainty and indecision from the club, which is, you know, a lot of reports about at the moment, it's a big problem because we can't convince anyone to come here while we're uncertain who's going to be manager. And they need to make a decision quickly because we're already falling behind, as you say. People are making quick decisions in the market.
Big moves.
You got Liverpool. I know they're not our competition, but you got teams who obviously we're looking to challenge the big teams. Obviously, we want to be back challenging against, right? Liverpool are already making moves with Wirtz, and Arsenal getting Zubimendi and making moves. As you say, United are making moves with Cunha, Delap. I just saw a report on TalkSport saying they're in talks about Mbeumo as well. You know, Newcastle are in talks with certain players. Everyone is making big moves, and we are kind of stuck in this limbo right now while we're making a decision on Ange Postecoglou, whether we want him to be here or not. And this indecision is setting us back because it's even worse if we let him go in a way, because if we let him go, then we have to search for a manager. We have to bring the manager in. We have to get we have to line up how he wants to play. Then we have to go and find the right profile. He has to restructure the squad, and can we get all that done before preseason? All these clubs are making signings before preseason. I heard Arne Slot yesterday says, I want my signings done in as early as possible before pre-season. Arsenal, they're making moves already. I know they haven't signed anyone, but there's a lot of talk. I'm sure because they know they're sticking with Arteta next season, they know the kind of targets they want already, and they know who they're lining up, and they're going to go for them very quickly. I'm sure of it. We're going to hear stuff soon about them. I'm certain of that. And the longer we wait with the manager decision, the further we're going to fall behind. And at least if we stick with Ange, just on a basis of kicking on for next season in the transfer market, I'm sure he's got an idea of what kind of player he wants and all that kind of stuff, and what he really wants us to improve for next season. Because of all the problems we've had, he knows the problems and he can kind of has an idea how to go about it. But we bring a new guy in, and it's kind of it's going to take a while for us to figure all that out, I think. So if we're going to do that, we're going to need to do it very, very quickly.
The decisions of Ange's future should have already been made already. They shouldn't be having to think about it over a week's time now. Like whether we're going to let him go or whether he's going to stay, the decision should have been made by now. And what the journalists are saying is Dan Kilpatrick says that Levy is thought to be undecided on Postecoglou's future after a season of extremes. And Tom Parkley says Postecoglou's future is unlikely to be clarified before the Australian heads off on holiday, which is today, with Daniel Levy taking time to mull over whether to stick or twist. The expectation was that Postecoglou would be sacked at the end of the season, but now that the Australian has won the Europa League, a U-turn can't be ruled out, and Paratici will likely have a say on who replaces Postecoglou if he was sacked. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, you've known we've been in the Europa League final. We had a good chance of getting into the Europa League final for a while now. After we beat Frankfurt, they should be deciding, well, if he wins the Europa League, we're going to do this. If he loses the Europa League, we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. Like, they should know both kind of eventualities, and they should know what decision they're going to come to if we win or lose the Europa League final. And I'm sorry, but it just stinks of, lack of planning once again and lack of foresight.
And you know what? I was having Andy came on the fan show yesterday, and it was a good call, and he made a good point because
what, like I owe him dinner?
Huh? First of all, yes, you owe him dinner. That's a very good point, and we'll have to discuss that. But he was saying, Ange said after the Bilbao game whether you look, maybe he's not telling the truth, but he said that he made a decision in February that he's going to go for this Europa League. And he said not everyone in the club agreed with him, right? But he said he's going to go for this Europa League. Now, there are two kind of ways you can look at that. In terms of how Levy feels about that bit, right? Because if Levy didn't agree with that, would he have kept Ange on? Because knowing Levy, would he have not just sacked him, given how he's dealt with previous managers, if he didn't agree with Ange doing that? Now, if he did agree with Ange doing that, right, and Ange then delivered it, why was he now undecided about sacking him or not? So kind of I don't like where was Levy's heads at when Ange made that decision? Did he agree with it or not? Because either way, like him being here would imply that he agreed with Ange doing it, or he didn't agree and just let him carry on, which doesn't seem like something Levy would do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like something Levy would do just because of the revenues that you're potentially losing, but massive upsides if you do go on and actually go and win the competition. So I mean, there's a lot of upsides to it, but it's risky. It's very risky.
No, I'm saying it doesn't seem like Levy would not agree with Ange doing it, but keep him on. I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Levy could have also just looked at what are the alternatives now, who can come in a February or a March from now to the end of the season and actually shoot us up that table. There's also that kind of thinking towards it.
So I understand that, but I also like, this is a guy who sacked Mourinho a week before the final because he didn't agree with Mourinho resting players in that game.
There was a difference.
And he put Mason in charge.
There was a difference then because, first of all, the Carabao Cup final doesn't bring you anywhere near the amount of revenues as what a Europa League final would do. And second of all, there was still a bit of an outside chance, albeit very outside chance, that we would finish top 4.
That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is...
Yeah, but it's still relevant.
No. It's not. The point I'm making is Levy agreeing with the decision. It's not about...
I'm telling you, but this kind of, what I'm saying, comes into the thinking of making the decision. And the decision then, under Mourinho, and the decision now is completely different.
No, but my point is, did Levy agree with what Ange wanted to do? That's what I'm saying. And if he didn't, would he have kept him on if he did not agree that Ange should just go for this Europa League? And if we're suggesting that he would have sacked him if he didn't agree, right? Are we then saying well, he probably did it? Maybe he did agree with Ange, or he at least saw his point. And if he did agree with Ange that just go for the Europa League, and then he delivers on that Europa League, why is he now why would he sack him after that if he agreed with the approach and said, all right, you know what, just go for Europa League and go all out and win it, and then he actually delivers it and wins it? Maybe. And now he's saying, well, you delivered it, we agreed on the approach, you delivered it, but now we still might sack you.
Yeah, but there's also maybe a thinking from Daniel Levy saying, look, we'll go with your approach from now to the end of the season, but at the end of the season I'm going to sack you regardless.
Maybe he said that. He could have been that, but I mean, maybe. Yeah, I guess that's a possibility as well.
Because we have been hearing from various journalists, even reliable ones like David Ornstein, saying regardless if we win the Europa League or not, Postecoglou is going to leave at the end of the season. He's going to get sacked.
Well, Ornstein's said I don't think he said he will be sacked. He did say his future's very much unclear. I think there was one journalist, I think it was Tom Barkley, who said regardless, he said before the final, regardless of whether they win it or not, he's going to be sacked. Or he's looking for a summer of change, I think he said. A lot of the...
Every summer's a bloody summer of change.
I know. A lot of the journalists, most of the journalists, I think, have been saying beforehand, like, regardless of whether we win it or not, his future's very much uncertain and is not guaranteed even if he wins it. So that's what a lot of the journalists have been saying. But for me, I think what we have right now with him and what he's brought us, it's not just about him achieving something, which he has. It's just about this feeling of the squad and the club and the fans all being together for the first time in a long, long time.
Probably
bring
since
that
the first
together.
10 games of last season.
Yeah, exactly. He's brought he's brought us together after, when he came in, the club was also very fractured. I know it's been very fractured this season as well, but we have finally got that togetherness back again. We've finally achieved that winning feeling. I think you can you can't excuse the league form, but you can explain the league form, and you can maybe rationalise why there is reason to believe that there were big problems that were very insurmountable this season, and he did kind of have to choose, especially come February, March. You know, I can understand the thinking of we had to choose between the Premier League and the Europa League in terms of what we're really going for, because I think we clearly showed this season our second team isn't good enough to just win games quite consistently. So we can't afford to just put our second team out in a Europa League game and expect to get through, because it was never going to, because we've shown it's not good enough. The players are too young, they're too inexperienced. They don't have what it takes right now to just win games. So he needed to prioritize that Europa League if and put all his eggs in that basket if we were actually going to go and win that competition. And how many times this season, in previous years, have managers been guilty of doing the opposite when it comes to league competitions and Europa League and all that kind of stuff? How many times have we been guilty of resting players in the cup competitions because we're in races for European places in the league, and us falling by the wayside and falling out of competitions, even against teams we definitely should be beating? Everyone says, "Oh, look who we played; it's so easy." I hear people say that, but like, how many times have we fallen by the wayside against teams that we're massive favourites for in cup competitions, embarrassed ourselves because we've rested players and think our second team's good enough to get through, and it never is. You know, losing to Norwich in the FA Cup under Mourinho, losing to Zagreb, losing to Ghent under Pochettino. It's happened so many times. So clearly at this football club, we have to kind of prioritize. If we want to go all out in a competition, we probably had to do something like we did this season. Obviously, doesn't necessarily mean we have to finish 17th. I'm just saying, once we got to that point in February, March, where the league form has been decimated with injuries. We've been 12 with 12 players for 3 months, and the league form has completely fallen off a cliff, right? And then we're getting all our players kind of back around early February, February time. At that point, do we kind of decide, okay, we want to improve our league form and try and finish as high as up the table, probably still missing out on the league places, but try and do our best to improve that league form, and that means maybe resting players in Europa League? Or do we just go all out for the Europa League and be down with that league form and just try and win that trophy? And look, he went that. It was a risky move, but it paid off, and I think it was the right probably move to do. And I think a lot of fans in previous years have been complaining about managers doing the opposite and complaining about resting players in these cup competitions, not prioritising them, and he's done that. So I think there are rational reasons why the league form is what it is this season. Obviously 17th can't be acceptable going forward and is not acceptable this season, but at the end of the day, the target at the beginning of the season was Champions League football and a trophy. That was the target, and he's achieved that target. And yes, he's achieved it by finishing 17th and winning the Europa League, but he's still done that. And so for me, I think he's got the players, he's got the fans, right? I think he's shown he can adapt in this Europa League as well, by showing a different side of our game. I think we showed at points this season that we can play amazing football, and I think Ange can work, but we just need a deeper squad so we can play a bit more consistently and play it in more competition. But he also showed that if we need to, we can adapt in certain situations. And also, when I'm looking at the market, I'm like, are we going to really are we going to sack him and give Iraola or Silva or Frank a 2-3 year deal?
Silva's already confirmed he's staying at Fulham.
So maybe not even Silva. Who are we going to get?
Frank's already confirmed he's staying at Brentford, apparently.
Did he? Who are we going to get to replace him? I understand if there's an outstanding candidate on the market who we feel like we can't miss out on, right? But I don't see that right now. I'm not looking at the market and thinking we need to get that manager in. We'll be really. I don't want to miss out on that manager who's on the market.
What about if Inzaghi's available?
If Inzaghi, he would be one, but is he on the market? Is he one realistically going to come to Tottenham? Look, if he's on the market, fine. I'm saying if there's an outstanding candidate. I was saying to Marlon yesterday, if Klopp says, I'll join Tottenham, okay, there's an outstanding candidate. If there's a real outstanding candidate, then okay, I'm open to it. But right now,
if Pochettino says, you know what, if Spurs need me, I'll come and I'll bin off the US World Cup. I know it's unlikely, but what would your kind of feeling be towards that?
If Pochettino wanted to come right now, I'd be open to it. I'm not sitting here saying definitely yes, but because look, at the end of the day, Ange won more than him. But I'd be open to it if the if the players are on board with it. And look, we know he's loved by he's one manager we know is still loved by the fan base, and so we'll still have that connection there. Obviously, you'd have to get the players on side. I'm sure he can do that. He's done that with a younger squad, and that's what we have. I think we probably have a squad in terms of youthfulness that could play Poch football. So maybe he's one. But again, he's not available right now. Realistically, he's managing the World Cup, so I don't even consider him an option. Like for me, we've just got a manager who's broken that duck. He's won that trophy. He's lifted the mood in this football club. To rip that all away now just for the sake of uncertainty, because we're all upset about the league form, for me would be the wrong way to go. I think look, at the end of the day, people say, "Oh, we're 17th," but we did finish 5th in the first season, right? People just gloss over that and forget about it because the league season's been so bad this season. But in the first season, we did finish 5th. He can manage at this level. He can manage in the league at this level. Yeah, I don't believe this narrative that his football can't work in the Premier League. It doesn't work here. Like, he finished 5th, okay? You can gloss over that all you want. You can say it was just the first 10 games, but we did finish in that position. We weren't 5th after 10 games. We finished in 5th, right? We finished in that position. So we can get a good league campaign going when things are going right. And I think if we make smart decisions in the transfer market, we make sure we learn the lessons from all the injuries that we had this season to make sure that doesn't happen again. We've got the fact that we've got those players really believing in him as well, right? I think he can be the man to go forward. And look, if it goes pear-shaped next season, that can happen. Who's to say Iraola and Frank or any of these managers come in and it goes right straight away anyway? You know what I mean? So you might as well give him next season, in my opinion, and let him see out his contract. Not saying give him a new deal, but let's see how next season goes with him, because I think that's the best course of action right now in terms of all the options I'm seeing. I'm not seeing an option saying, yeah, we should go in that direction. I think he's probably right now the best course of action.
And I do feel like for next season as well, if you do give him next season and it doesn't go well, you do have a manager that loves the club ready and waiting for us at the end of next season. I believe that would probably be the kind of course of action if it was to go that way. But look, everyone knows what I've been saying about Ange all season. But now it's all said and done. Yes, the league form is unacceptable. You can't turn any other way apart from that. Completely unacceptable. But after him giving us what he's given us this season, the feelings that he's given us, the togetherness, the sense of togetherness it is now, the good feeling amongst the club, lifting a European trophy, a significant honour, a trophy parade, something that we've all been dreaming for so long. You cannot sack him now, in my opinion. You just cannot. And I feel like as well, the signs of adaptability that he showed in this Europa League run to get us to the promised line and to get us over the finish line, in the Frankfurt games, in the Bodo games, in the final against Manchester United as well. That shows to me, because a big gripe for me was like, he keeps going this one way and we're too open, we're too attacking, and I've seen signs of adaptability from him, and I've seen signs that if he can take from what he's shown in this Europa League run into the Premier League campaign next year, we can have a much better Premier League campaign. So I'm willing to give him the chance next season for sure. Not to say that I'm totally confident that it's going to go unbelievably well, but I think we need to go forward with him. I think you cannot dismiss what he's given us. Like, this trophy is something that we've all been dreaming for, and I just don't understand people that are so adamant that just get him out right now. I mean, I can understand it to a certain extent, I guess, because of the league form, but
I guess because also leading up to the final, the narrative was, regardless of the win, people he's going to leave, or people want him out, and maybe that's just seeped in too strongly for too many fans that they've can't overlook that, I guess.
But I think it should be overlooked because of what I'm saying, because of the trophy, because of the signs of adaptability, because it clearly, the club, the players are clearly behind him. The fans are clearly behind him right now. So let's just all move forward together. And if it goes wrong next season, it goes wrong, and we'll have to make a change then. But right here, right now, less than a week after a significant moment for the club, something that no other manager since Keith Birkinshaw, who walked out on the pitch yesterday pretty much in his Zimmer frame, has delivered this football club. We have to all move forward together. That's my honest opinion. And look, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. What can we do about it?
Yeah, but there's no guarantee it goes right with a different manager.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And a different manager comes in, they're going to want to play their kind of style or whatever. They're going to have to figure out all the problems that every manager. How many times have a manager, right? Mourinho, Conte, and Ange come in beginning of the before they come in, right? They're all like excited for the job. And how many times have we heard this? From them, from each manager that's come in, they say, "I've only just realised the problems as of when I come in."
Yeah.
How many times Mourinho said it? I remember he said it. Conte said it. I've only just realised how bad the problems are when I'm in the job, right? So that manager who comes in is going to have to realise that once they come in. Then I'm sure like Iraola will be so super excited to come to Tottenham, right? But then he's going to probably be saying, I only just realised the problems once I come into the club. But Ange knows it. He's been here for 2 years. He hasn't slagged off the club. He hasn't been like Conte or Mourinho, who's saying, you're lucky to have me. And like at every stage, he's been just bashing the club for not having a winner's mentality, all this kind of thing, which is fair, which is obviously a lot of fans praise those managers for doing that. I'm just saying Ange hasn't done that. He's the one who really knows what this club's all about, and he understands this club, and he's one that he's not going to rally against the board or anything like that. And he understood what it took to get this club a trophy. He understood what needed to be done. I kind of felt like those managers only wanted to do it their way, and they weren't. They're like and Ange was willing to kind of do what needed to be done to get that trophy over the line in terms of just prioritizing that competition and be damned with what the league form would look like. And
well, look, Mourinho was willing to do that as well.
Mourinho was willing to do that. And he got sacked for it. Yeah,
the club just weren't willing to let him do it. That's the reality. But look, in terms of Ange, the reality is that over the course of this season, there has been points of the season where we probably should have sacked him, and he could have been sacked easily for what he's shown and the managerial kind of ability that he's shown. However, now we're sitting here, the trophy's over the line. He's given us feelings that we could only have dreamed of at the beginning of the season for the past 41 years. We have to move forward with him, in my opinion, and we have to act fast, and we have to make a decision, and we need to start planning. If we haven't started planning for the summer, like, what the hell are we doing here?
But I also feel like the way this season has gone, the fact that we've been this bad in the league, right, and the fact we've had so much pain and defeats, and we've still come away with, regardless of that, we've still come away with a trophy and with glory. We've been able to move that situation. That's only going to make the resilience so much stronger with this squad. Because I really believe, people say it's going to normalise defeats. I disagree. It's gonna make this squad so resilient, and it's going to mean for me that next season they're not gonna. It's not going to let them affect them. I think it's going to make them stronger. It's going to make them so much steelier, in my opinion.
Well,
going into next season.
It can go one of two ways, you know. Like the two last managers that have won us trophies, albeit Carabao Cup trophies, have gone on to be sacked the season after. So, I mean, it could easily go that way with Ange next season. Don't get me wrong, but there's also a way it can go in the, you know, the scenario that you're saying. And I think it's worth to roll the dice that we're here after European trophy and seeing where it can take us next year.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this is different to a Carabao Cup.
He deserves it. Like, as much as I've been saying all season he should be sacked, and yes, and I think those opinions were valid to say at the time. But now he's delivered that success to this football club. He's deserved to be given the benefit of the doubt and to move forward into next season and see where it can take us.
Yeah, and I think, he's done what he's needed, what he said he was going to do. He won that trophy. He has changed the club, and he's done that. He said he does that every club he goes. To be honest, most clubs he does stay around this length anyway. But he seems determined at this time to stay here, rather at Celtic and other clubs. He's kind of made it his decision to leave, obviously, because he felt like he could do all he could do. But he clearly feels like he wants to stay, and he feels like it's an unfinished business. And he wants to get us back challenging at the top where we should be. And I really believe he can do that. I do. I don't believe the narratives from a lot of people that have been saying all season that he's out of his depth. He can't manage at this level. All these different things. I've just never believed that. I really do believe this guy is a very, very good manager. Now, do I believe he's one of the best? Right? Do I believe he's in the top tier? I don't know about that. Probably not. I don't think he's in the top tier of managers in world football. But I think this guy, if he's one of those guys, if he gets you to a final, I think in cup competitions, he can be very, very good for us. This guy, you want him motivating your team ahead of a cup game or a cup final. That's the kind of guy you want on your side.
But also, we don't just want to be a cup team.
No, we want to be a performing in the league, but I think we can get a look. Can he win us a league title? I don't know. I don't know who can, but obviously I don't know if he's going to be the guy who can win us a league title. But can he be a manager for right now who can get us back challenging the European spots and get us in doing very well in those cup competitions? I really do believe that. And if is right now, you know, if we were to finish in the next season top 5, win a trophy, that would be unbelievable. That would be, I don't know if you can call it better than this season, but probably obviously you would call it better than this season if we did that. It'd be, I think he's capable of that kind of season, in my opinion. Here's an interesting question though, given that we have finished 17th this season, right? And obviously we've won that Europa League. Like, how do we judge Ange or even a new manager next season? Because obviously any manager that comes in, or even Ange, are most likely going to finish higher than 17th. Right, so but we've won that Europa League. So what do we call progression next season? Do we have to win a trophy next season? Like, for it to be progression?
You can't, you're not going to win a trophy every single year. I mean, a trophy would be unbelievable next year, obviously.
So is it now?
But for me, we need to be showing signs of consistency next season. So
you know how we've had these debates, right? Because we've had no trophy for so long. We've had these debates over the years, like, would you rather top 4 on FA Cup, kind of that kind of thing. And a lot of times, like beforehand, you know, when we weren't maybe Champions League regulars, like, okay, Champions League. And then we became a few Champions League regulars. And I was like, okay, I don't care, 5th in an FA Cup, I'll take. It'll be in Europa League, right? But now, is it, because we've got that trophy off our back, is it now, okay, now we've done that, it's now time to be back at the top and being consistent in the top 4 again?
We need to be playing consistent Champions League football, this football club. That's what we need to be doing. I'm looking at top 5 as a minimum next season. It has to be.
And if you assume top 5 is CL.
Yeah, and I think it will be. But I think, like, people can call me deluded and say, look, we finished 17th. How are we going to finish top 5 next season? But I think if we make the right moves in the transfer market, we can put ourselves in a position where that can be a realistic target for next season. So I think top 5 has to be a minimum next season. And then hopefully a nice run in the Champions League and a domestic cup, Carabao or FA Cup. But I think even without a Carabao or FA Cup, to finish in the top 5, I think will be a good season next year.
Right. So so you're saying we don't necessarily have to win a trophy to be showing that we get showing progression next season, even though the trophy, like, because if I'm just saying season 3 is better than season 2, would top 5 mean that?
Yes and no. It will mean it's a better season in terms of us showing signs of consistency and us showing signs of going in the right direction. But obviously, it won't be the same ending because we have the glory that we had at the end of this season. However, we need to be going on an upward trajectory, and finishing in the bottom half again next season is not an upward trajectory. We need to be showing signs of consistency next season. We need to be getting back to those heights that we showed under Pochettino and getting back to those levels. And I do think, I know it never really happened under Poch, but I do think if you do show those signs of consistency, then trophies are more likely to come as well.
I agree. But let's say next season he finishes 10th in an FA Cup. Is that progression?
No. It's not progression. It'll give us the great day out again, and it'll be an unbelievable achievement to win the FA Cup first time since '91. But I'm not sure if that's enough to keep him in a job for the following season.
At that point, you say, look, you've had 2 seasons, you've finished 17th and 10th.
But you've also been the most successful manager in the Premier League history, so you've got to give him a thank you. He doesn't leave with any sort of like malice, or he doesn't leave with any ill feeling. But it just says, look, we need to be consistent in the Premier League. We need to get back to those levels. And clearly, you're not the man to get us there. But thank you very much for bringing the trophies to this football club.
But I think what people are overlooking is how important Champions League, we want to be back in that Champions League, right? And as much as people say they don't care about it, obviously last season we said we'd rather lose that game against City and not be in the Champions League than win it to stop Arsenal win the league. But Champions League football is very, very important. You want to be dining at that top table. And so if Ange would have won the FA Cup on Wednesday rather than the Europa League, I don't think I'd be feeling the same personally than this Europa League, even though he's ended 17 years of hurt, because that Champions League football is very, very important. And that was the goal going into this season, right? Because we finished 5th last season. So to make that next step up from being in Europa League is being in the Champions League. That's how you make that next step up. And he's done that. And obviously winning that Europa League that's how he's done it, by getting to the Champions League. But that was the goal. And obviously we want to now be consistent, being consistently playing in that Champions League. So for me, as much as an FA Cup would be good, that's what your club should be aspiring to do, is being consistently at the top of the table, competing at the best. And because we've just been without that trophy, I think the fans have lost sight of how important that is, and that fans have stopped caring about that just because we've been battered with this no trophy thing. But that's kind of, now we've got that over the line, we need to start trying to aim for that again and being that consistently top of the table. So that's why it's different next season. If we finish 10th in an FA Cup, it's a bit different because you're not getting back in the Champions League.
So you agree with me then? If we finish 10th in FA Cup, he should probably go.
Yeah, he should probably go, because you can't. He would have shown over that period the league form, and he's now not in the Champions League again. We're back in the Europa League. Like, you've done well, but I think we need someone else to maybe take it forward. So I think he needs to be back in that. Maybe if it was top 6 in the FA Cup, that's different. I think. If he gets top 6,
still no Champions League though.
No Champions League, but at least in terms of league form, you're showing you're back close to the European spots. You're in the European spots, and you've got a trophy on top of that.
I guess it depends. Like,
it's like mid-table.
I guess it depends on like the narrative of the season. If we're like knocking down on the top 4 all season, or if we're like hovering around 10th, 11th, and then like make a late surge and just about finish 6th at the end of the season, it's kind of different, isn't it?
I guess, but. Yeah, I think if he can show consistent league performances and get a trophy, that's different. But obviously 10th and an FA Cup, it's like you just can't seem to get it right in the league, can you? So we need someone who can start to do that.
Because at the end of the day, the reality is the league should be a real barometer of where you're at as a football club.
I agree.
And that's what it's all about, is your league form. That's what you're going to be mainly judged on. And yeah, look, nowhere near good enough this season. 5th, I think top 5 minimum for me next season. It has to be top 5 minimum.
But you would take 6th in an FA Cup, wouldn't you?
I would take it. I mean, I'd love it. Day out at Wembley, lifting that trophy, another trophy that we've been craving for so long. It's not like I wouldn't be happy at the end of that season, but I just would still feel like, look, it would be progression. It would be progression. So I guess, yeah, I would take it.
I wouldn't take 10th in an FA Cup. That 10th in FA Cup is like, that's bit too low. I know. Saying 10th is too low considering we just finished 17th is a bit
I would
ironic.
Take it.
But
6th in FA Cup, I think, would be a good season.
Yeah, then he can go. I think he can go again. I think the next season. So I think that's the kind of what we're looking for. But it's either
that's minimum.
Yeah, minimum.
I don't think I would take like 7th, like to 7th in an FA Cup, 8th in an FA Cup. You know what I mean? We need to be top 6 at the very minimum.
Yeah, we need to be getting, because it's just so embarrassing we're in the league where we've been this season. But I think there are reasons why you can rationalise it, but those excuses are going to run out next season.
It is, but he needs help. Oh, look, the club need to make a decision now, though. Like, we need to know what is happening next season. The director of football thing is looming over us as well with Paratici. We don't know what's going on with him, and it looks like he's going to be coming back in. We don't know who the manager is going to be next season. Is it going to be Ange? Is it going to be someone else? And we need to start planning ahead. We need to start bringing in players. We need to start sprinkling in some experience to this team.
We need to get our transfer list going. Like, we need to start, as we've said, all the clubs are making moves already, and the longer we're in this limbo, the more we're going to fall further behind in the transfer market.
Exactly.
And the reality is, because we're now one of 6 teams in the Champions League, right? We are all shopping in the same market now. We're all in the same pool. Obviously, we're not going to maybe be spending hundreds of millions, maybe like other clubs, in terms of one player. But in terms of, there are certain players who are worth 40 to 50 million, like Cunha, who, is he 60 million?
60, yeah.
Right? That kind of thing, we're in that kind of market for. But there are now 5 other clubs in the same market. And the longer we wait, the longer we're going to miss out on some of the targets we maybe had, because they're moving quicker, because they know what they're doing next season, and we don't.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to make the decision quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So we are stuck in a bit of a limbo period. Hopefully we do get the answer very, very soon, and we can start making some signings. I mean, there's the Johnny Cardozo thing, where we've got 2 weeks to sign him from now, I believe. So we need to start making decisions. We need to start acting, and we need to start preparing for next season. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be another shit show of a season next year. We can't go in as underprepared as we went in this season, because Next season is going to be a hell of a lot harder than it was this season. We're in the Champions League. We need proper experience to help us maneuver those situations.
But at the moment, given what Ange was saying in the press conference yesterday and a lot of the reports, he doesn't seem very certain he's going to be staying.
No.
He said in the press conference yesterday, after some of the journalists were asking him, first of all, he said he seems weird. I have to talk about our future, and then he said, well, how are you feeling? And he was like, well, you wouldn't be asking me this question if there wasn't some doubt, would you? Like, clearly there is some doubt, and you're asking the wrong person. I'm not the one making a decision. I haven't heard anything. Obviously, given that there's been radio silence from the board, doesn't really bode well for him, I would say, right now, looking at it.
I mean, he has made some comments like pre the Brighton game, post the Brighton game. I think maybe even after the cup win as well, about his future, and it just doesn't seem... He doesn't seem like adamant that he's going to be here next season, which is a bit of a disappointment after what he's given us. We're just kind of going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see. Like,
it's just weird.
I think he thinks he's gone. That's what it feels like to me.
Well, the fact that he hasn't gotten a firm answer must be really disappointing, considering how the last few days have gone.
Yeah.
Like, they should have been aware. They should have known how what would happen if we would have won the Europa League. And so if they were... Before that Europa League, they were saying he's gone regardless, then he should be gone. But if they were thinking differently, then they should have planned for that. I mean, it seems as though they were maybe thinking he was going to go regardless. And now he's won. It's like, oh, maybe we should just keep him. And now I'm not sure. But it's like, if that was the feeling before, then just sack him and move on very quickly and plan for it. But it seems as though they're just in limbo now. Like they should. If they were thinking if he wins it, let's keep him, then bloody just say it now.
I just don't understand, right, how we can live through that night in Bilbao, how we can live through the parade and his speech in the parade and season 3 better than season 2 and all that, and then sack him a few days later. I just don't understand how that's a situation.
After that big cheer he got in the parade when he said that, and the envisaging him he's not going to be able to see out that season 3 is gutting to think about.
When the camera panned to Levy yesterday, right, the only boo of the day came for him. And Ange's name was being sung all afternoon long in the concourses and in the stadiums. When he came up to the fans with the trophy, it was, quite a magical moment. Like, I'm sitting there, it's like Levy really looking at that and thinking like, I'm going to sack him, like, especially after the boos came for his face yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know, there is a part of me that thinks with the way Ange is speaking, I feel like Levy's going to sack him. But then when you're looking at all the love that's coming from the fans towards Ange, how can he sack him?
Yeah. Because maybe the clamour before the final was just so big, he just, he felt that he feels like they had to make that decision before, like, oh, okay, we're just going to sack him before, and then maybe they feel like they got to stick to that because that's like logical in their mind that we should be firing a manager who's finished 17th in the league regardless of what any cup competition.
Or they were thinking like, for sure Ange is going at the end of the season, and now they've seen all this positivity come towards him. We've won the cup and all the feelings that come with that. Maybe the feeling is more to keeping him now.
Well, I think it should be. I think we should keep him, and I think we've got an opportunity here to actually build something that like long term. Like, it's not many times in football these days you get the opportunity to actually have something that lasts with a manager more than like 2 years, right? That's like the average length of a tenure these days for a manager. But you look at all the top ones. At the moment in the Premier League, Arteta and Guardiola and blah blah, and those kind of managers, Eddie Howe, these are the guys that they have there for a long time, right? And they build something, they build a togetherness with the fan base, and also just a consistency on the football pitch, and that really helps. And we've got an opportunity to do that, and it'll be just a shame just to throw it away because of how this league season's gone, and we're that disappointed when something positive has come from it. We've got something unbelievably positive, and I think we should try and build on that and focus on that rather than just saying, well, this league form has been so disastrously bad, whatever happens, like, we can't overlook that. I think when there's a chance to actually build on something and chance to actually harness that positive energy that we have and that momentum, which is so important, and that winning feeling that we have, I think we should try our best to focus on that and build upon that for next season, and try and help that and nurture that, rather than focus on all the negativity that's been so prominent this season, and then might even return, and you're risking it returning when you're sacking the manager and bringing someone new for next season. Because with this team and this club, if you bring a new manager, it's going to take time for them. They're not going to hit the ground running. It's not going to be instant success. They're going to have to build their own thing with the team, with the players, with the fans. It's going to take time. It's not going to be just plug and play, right? They're going to have to do everything's going to start from scratch in a way. Not to say they can't be a success, whoever they bring in. It's just going to take time. Whereas you've got a manager now who knows what the ins and outs of this club, and he's got success, and he's the only manager who's found success within the chaos. We know how chaotic this club is as a fan, right? Within the chaos, he's managed to find success there, and I think it's just worth staying with. It's worth staying with right now, and that's how I feel.
That's our opinion, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. However, what decision do you think the club is going to make? Because it's going to have to be made surely by the end of this week.
I hope so, but you say that, you look at how I guess it's different different team, but I'm pretty sure like United made that, didn't they make the decision on Ten Hag like midway through the summer? Like they were shopping for Tuchel, they were shopping for other manager. I think Ten Hag heard while he was on holiday that he was staying, didn't he? Got a call on holiday that he's going to be the manager. So
Ange is on holiday now.
I hope we don't. Obviously, we're going to have to do that if he's on holiday already. But I hope we don't wait that long, and I hope we're not hearing rumours of this manager and that manager, and then we stay with Ange. I think if we're going to do it, just do it now. Don't shop around.
What is the decision the club going to come to?
I don't know.
What's your gut telling you?
I think my gut's telling me that he's going to stay, actually. Even though the reports right now are he's going to leave, my gut's telling me he's going to stay. The reason being is I do feel like if they were really going to sack him right now, they would have already had someone lined up, and it doesn't seem like they do have someone lined up. And I think we would have heard serious links to someone. We've heard very vague links to like people on a list, but we haven't heard about anything definitive about anyone, really, have we, in terms of managers? And I feel like if they were actually going to sack him and bring in someone new, we would have heard a definitive name right now about someone who's really seriously close to coming. And that doesn't seem to be the case. So I've got a feeling that he is actually going to stay. But right now, it seems as though they're undecided and they're in limbo. But I kind of feel like they will land on keeping him. But I could be wrong, obviously. I hope I'm not. But yeah, that's kind of my gut feeling.
Yeah, I'm split with it because of the way Ange is speaking. It feels like he's a bit of a dead man walking. But I just feel like in the weeks leading up to the final and the whole run, I thought, Levy had his mind set on probably getting rid of him at the end of the season. But now it's all said and done. What's happened's happened. The feelings have come. Levy's first major trophy of his, tenure at Tottenham. I feel like he's going to end up landing on keeping him. I think he has to. I just can't see him. Like, surely he's not going to sack him after everything that we've been through in the last week. I just can't see it.
Do you think there was a sort of The Athletic? They said it could potentially be a more unpopular sacking than Pochettino. Do you agree with that? Would it be more unpopular than Pochettino? In a weird way, it might be only just because when Poch got sacked, obviously we loved him, but it's not like we were singing his name at that point. You know what I mean? We were doing so bad in the league, and we hadn't won away from home in a year, and obviously and there was
Ange's only returned to being flavour of month
exactly.
A few days ago.
I know it's true, but it's still right now. Like everyone is not everyone, but clearly I'm looking at the poll. It's still fairly split. So I guess it's still not. I guess it's still.
I think it will be fairly similar, to be honest, because I think a lot of people at the time thought sacking Pochettino was, going to be a massive mistake of the club, and I think smaller amount of people probably think that about Ange.
What is more of a risk, keeping him or sacking him?
Well, sacking him is going into the complete unknown. We don't know what comes after that. We don't know who's going to come in. So until we know who's going to come in, we can't really answer that question.
Yeah. God, a big few days ahead of us, I think. Well, let's hope it doesn't last any longer than that. But This big
Only
decision.
Tottenham can have the most significant moment in their recent history since 1984 and then be going into these like massive debates about keeping the manager and finishing 17th. It's just madness. It just blows my mind, this football club, every single time. And like I said before, like these fans that are so like intent of getting Ange out of this club, and I was one of them, don't get me wrong, and you're people going to call me a flip-flop, call me this lot and that lot, whatever. I don't really care at this moment in time. But the kind of wars that people are having right now of Ange in, Ange out, like, just enjoy the Europa League success, man. Just sit down, have a pint, have a smile on your face, and think, fuck yeah, I'm a European champion.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what we got. That's what we got to be thinking. That's what's got to be at the forefront of our minds. So, but it's hard not to obviously talk about, isn't it? When we don't know, so much uncertainty. You're obviously going to talk about it, aren't we? Because that's just the like. Look, it's all great. We won the trophy, and obviously we're not even a week out yet. But obviously, at some point, we do have to start looking towards next season and what's going to happen.
And we should keep him. And we should keep him. And you know what? You can call me a flip-flop all you like, but you know what else I am? You know what else I am? I'm a European champion, baby. That's what I am.
Come on.
So, look, it is what it is. We'll see what happens with Ange over the... I do think we'll have a decision by the end of the week. I just have to believe that because I can't be stuck in this limbo for any longer than that.
Limbo's not nice. It's not nice.
Yeah. But look, let's get into some super chats because quite a few of them have been coming in since the beginning of the stream. Tom81, member for 27 months. Big up to you, Tom.
Come on, we saw him at the Bricklayers.
And he said, big up, lads.
Friday.
Had such a crazy night Wednesday. I think we all did,
Wednesday,
mate.
Yeah. And Friday, mate. We saw you on Friday.
Wednesday?
Friday, we saw you, mate, at the Bricklayers. We had a crazy night that night as well.
Malware says, Spurs 24-25, won Europa. Forgot how the Premier League worked. Trophy secured. Sanity of fans, less so. Big up, boys. Come on, you Spurs.
Big up, yeah. You look, I guess it's social media. You're always going to get extremes on both ends. That's how it is, isn't it?
The thing is, though, like in terms of the sanity of fans thing, I really thought once we won that final in Bilbao, the sanity was completely back, and like we were just one track minded on. I think enjoying ourselves.
I think for match-going fans, I think it is.
Yeah,
it's just really, social media. Just is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you said, the stadium was, there was nothing like any sort of negativity in the stadium yesterday.
Yeah. Manuel Lorenz says, I can't understand negativity in the fan base. I'm a Spurs supporter for 10 years. And a few days ago, we finally did it all together. Come on, you Spurs from Germany.
Yeah, if you're negative right now, then I don't get how you can be... I don't know if you understand football. If you get football, if this is a point where you're negative.
Everyone's been like, I can't take being bantered by fans all over the Premier League for winning. Like, look how many teams have won since we last won a trophy in 2008. Like, when will this end? Well, it's finally ended. It's finally ended. The clouds have descended away from Tottenham Hotspur. We finally won a trophy. It's time to be happy and it's time to puff your chests out and it's time to bat like us. We can banter Arsenal. They haven't won a trophy in 5 years. When's the last time we've been able to
never won a European trophy?
Exactly.
Never won one. Where is that European trophy? Come on.
Exactly. Have you ever seen Arsenal with the European Cup, people?
Have you fuck?
Mick Dundee says, Ange's first year qualifies for Europe, second year semi-final of Cup, wins Europa League and qualifies for the Champions League. The Premier League has no bearings of Europe as qualified on last year and by winning the Europa League this year.
And to be fair, yeah, first season, if the other teams did better in Europe, fifth would have been Champions League, wouldn't it? So he would have been Champions League 2 years in a row, but unfortunately, that's not how it worked. But yeah, I think you got to try and separate the two. You got to take everything. Well, and I say separate the two, but you got to take it like you can't just. It's like it's weird. People like we won the Europa League, but then saying, oh, but the league's not good enough. It's like dismissing the Europa League. And then people saying we won Europa League, but that's fine, whatever, about 17, they're dismissing the Premier League. You kind of got to take both into account. And I think when you take both into account, you got to realise that he has, overall, in the big picture, he's done a good job. He has.
By the way, a complete side point, nothing to do with what we're talking about right now, but it's just come to my mind thinking about yesterday. I love how much of a hero Brendan Johnson is at Spurs right now. He is a complete hero. The song that was sung with the most heart yesterday was Johnson Again, Ole Ole. Everyone went mad for that. Like, it's so nice to see the
Amazing.
shit that he's been through this season and to end like this.
Phenomenal. And yeah, now it's so great, the trajectory. And for as well, a lot of the people saying him also being kind of like a poster boy for how wrong we spend money, and he's the one who ends up scoring the winner in a final. Like, he's grasped a trophy, so fair play.
Big up to Brennan Johnson.
Come on.
Michael Hellman, member for 33 months.
Wow,
Big up, Michael.
come on, Michael.
He says Vinay and Paratici coming back is a great step in the right direction. We minimise the progress of our academy has made over the past few years. Our loanies did great. Spurs Nation, let's party. And I think that's a really good point. First of all, of the academy, like, unbelievable. The majority of the boys that have been out on loan this season, Donnelly and Keeley, obviously, what they've done at Leighton Orient this season have been brilliant. Unfortunately, they missed out on the final hurdle on Sunday and in terms of the playoff final. But what season they've had, like you said, George Abbott, been brilliant. Yang, he's had a good start to life to English football. He probably needs another loan next season.
Phillips been good.
Yeah, Phillips has had a really good season at Stoke. You've looked
obviously.
at Devine and Vuskovic at Westerlo. All our academy boys have really done themselves a service this season.
All done brilliant. So fair play to all of them, and it just goes to show the talent we have.
Yeah,
which everyone was excited about last season.
Yeah,
and I think they've gone on to prove what talents they actually are this season in terms of. They are really serious talents that could really go far, a lot of them. So it'd be interesting to see how we integrate a lot of them, or if we integrate, who we integrate into the first team in the future or next season or whenever. But I think what's definitely for sure is that they're all brilliant talents who I think are all going to have good careers.
Didn't even mention Dorrington won the Scottish Cup.
Dorrington,
on the weekend for Aberdeen. So unbelievable stuff. Andrew Din says, oh, by the way, on that comment as well, to Vinay, I would like to say a massive big up to Vinay, because as soon as he's come in, I think the fan engagement from this club has been top notch. It really has been top notch. Like, the way they treated us out in Bodo, everyone getting a scarf and stuff, and there's been the free drink that they gave everyone at the home leg. Was it the home leg at Frankfurt or Bodo? I can't remember.
Who's Bodo? Yeah.
But
scarves in I think I don't know how flags, THFC flags I think organised it, but the scarves in the fan park in Bilbao.
But I just feel like fan engagement at this club has taken a massive step in the right direction since he's come in. And I think when you look into his Arsenal tenure, that was one of the first things that he did, because there was a massive disconnect between the fans and the club at Arsenal, and he took steps to bring them close together, and I feel like that's happening at Tottenham.
Definitely.
And obviously Paratici as well. Let's hope he can come in. But if he does come in, there are rumours that he doesn't want Ange to be here.
Yeah,
so
I wonder what they'll look like. Who we want. Is it a Serie A manager? Would he bring in Motta or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wouldn't be surprised, Motta. I wouldn't be surprised because he used to play for Juve, didn't he, Motta? Maybe I'm sure they know each other.
They definitely, I'm sure they know each other. Yeah. Andrew Din says, unpopular opinion, Spurs Levy should prioritise cup competitions ahead of league matches going forward. With the increased strength of the league, it is much easier to qualify for Europe via cup paths.
And it is true, but still you want a team that performs regularly in the league. As much as it was amazing winning that Europa League, and I think it was the right decision this season to do that considering how the season went, obviously we want a football club in general to give us joy on a regular basis, you know what I mean? So I think you do obviously want to aim for having a team that's consistent in the league and challenging the other top and aiming as high as possible. I just think the situation we found ourselves this season, I think we had to, and I think it was the right decision to do what we did this season in terms of when it came to it, prioritise that Europa League games and just put all our eggs in that basket. But I think going forward, I still think that's what we want. We want a team that's good in the league, obviously. You want to be proud of that.
I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent, but there is one situation I would take 17th, and that's winning the Champions League.
Oh, for sure. I'd take Champions League 17th. If you offer me that right now, I'll bite your hand off for
100%.
Bite your hand off for
100%. 17th in Champions League. Let's do it next season.
Yeah, let's do it. 100%. I'm all in. We're all in.
What's the next one? The next one is Michael Hellman again, and he says, Ange needs players that fit his system. A number of games our players didn't give it their all. We need to exploit this momentum and build squad depth. I mean, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't just yes, there's a number of games didn't give their all, but there's also a number of games where you have to just be honest and say the teams we were putting out were inferior to the opposition. A number of games, and especially second half of the season, and even in December with all the injuries, people, I think, just because we're Tottenham and we spend X amount of money on certain players, like our players are entitled to be better than the opposition players. You know what I mean? Like when we lose into games like Bournemouth and Forest and Palace and whatever, and obviously at the time they're embarrassing defeats. But when you really look back at it, we're playing Gray and centre back and 4-string goal. Like when you actually deep it, was our team any better than the team we were facing on the day? You know what I mean? In terms of the 11, when you did combined 11s with these teams. Right. Well, or was our team actually better on the day? I think we would like to say yes because we're Tottenham, right? But if you actually look at it, they probably had better players on the day.
For a number of games, yeah, for sure. But there were a number of games where
obviously like Ipswich and stuff,
yeah,
that's different.
Exactly.
Yeah, not all games
where we had a much better team on than the opposition.
I agree with you. I'm just saying there was a number of games which people just gloss over where our team was probably worse on the day in terms of man for man than the opposition. But because we're Tottenham and Gray, we spent 40 million on Gray, and Brighton spent, I don't know how, like 20 million on Hyson. Like, Hyson, Gray must be better. But no, Hyson's a better player. That's just how it is.
Yeah, but also you would expect in that's where like managerial tactics come through, and sometimes a system can get through you games if the players know the system well enough, and sometimes you can have an inferior team and get over the line.
Sometimes, yeah, but a lot of the times the better team wins.
Yeah, that's also true. Next to us is from Anmol J saying, let Ange let Ange's run end naturally. Sacking him now, despite being right, would kill the vibe. Players back him, and we just won a trophy. Watched the final all night from India. Stayed up all night. Come on, you Spurs. Big up.
Come on.
And yeah, I completely agree with that again.
I agree. Yeah, I think we just got to keep this momentum. It's rare you have something like this. We got right now. It's actually so rare. People don't realize how rare it is, and you just got to keep it.
Michael Hellman again. Big up to you, Michael. Says Spurs gave Ange a 4-year contract with an extension option. This is what a project is. This is what we wanted. Come on, you Spurs.
100%. I agree with that as well.
Graham says we need to keep Ange for sure if he wants it. The options are not great and have less of a record than Ange. Also, the squad seemed to be behind him. And I think that's the main thing is the squad being behind him.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of things people have taken away from the last few days about how clearly the squad are so behind Ange. And when he said season 3 is better than season 2, the whole squad just roared along with the fans. They were just excited.
They were drunk, to be fair.
Yeah, they were, but they seemed just as excited.
Ange could have probably said anything at that moment, and the squad would be roaring.
And then, Porro's jumping on his back after the final. They bring him into the celebrations, like they're roaring when he said season 3 is better than season 2. Like the players, and they've been saying it all season, to be honest, that they're behind him and he's their manager. And that's obviously a big thing. I think when you compare that to the Ten Hag situation, there was a lot of rumours even after FA Cup win that a lot of the players weren't behind him, and a lot of them didn't really want him to stay. So it's just in that context, it's a bit of a different situation.
C9 Manic, member for 2 months, says I've enjoyed it. I've shut up and ridden the high. The one thing I don't want to do is follow United's papering over the cracks model. And look, there is a chance that this is just papering over the cracks, winning this competition, and we go in next season with Ange and it does fall apart. But I'm willing to roll that dice and just give him the benefit of the doubt for the season and the injuries and everything like that. And see where it can take us, just because the players are so behind it. Like if there were those rumours coming out that you're saying about Ten Hag and the United players, I probably would say it probably would be better to part ways now.
Yeah, I agree, but we haven't heard anything, and we haven't heard anything all season. Which, when you actually think about it, it's fairly remarkable, because when you've gone through what we've gone through this season in terms of league form, I can't remember another time where a club as big as us have been as bad as we are, and we haven't heard grumblings and stuff from leaks and from players and these kind of things.
We heard it under Conte. We were 4th.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but every time there's a big club like ours in a trouble like we are, you always hear leaks, you always hear things, and we haven't heard anything this whole season. And that for me is telling me a lot that silence it like means something. You know, the silence actually is saying a lot in a way. The fact that we haven't heard any grumbling from leaks and stuff, and from the Athletic leaking about sources from inside the dressing room. As you said, under Conte and Mourinho, we heard leaks from the dressing room saying, you know, everyone, it's a depressing place. Everyone is, you know, it's a fractured dressing room, all this kind of stuff. A lot of people disagreeing on how they want to play and all these things. Some players think we should play this way and that kind of stuff. But on this season, we had either they've plugged the leak, or which Ange suggests we haven't because he says there's still a leak, or there just isn't those grumblings, which is either way it's good, I guess.
Rovshan says fans like Sava take supporting football club meaninglessly seriously. We won the Europa League a couple of days ago, and later he was complaining.
Oh, let him complain.
I just don't understand who could complain after winning a Europa League.
Sava, where's your Ange tattoo? Where is it? Where is it? That's all I want to know.
Someone message Sava and give him a link and tell him to come on today, man.
Tattoo? Where is it?
Get Sava on the show.
Complaining, look, I don't care. He can be as Ange as he wants. He can shout it from the rooftops. As long as he gets an Ange tattoo, I don't care. I don't care. And you know what? Ange is a man of his word. He said he'll bring a trophy in his second season. He did it. So you can complain about Ange all you want, but he's a man of his word. So you got to be too.
Sava, any word from you, mate? You going to get that Ange tattoo?
Come on. Get the Ange tattoo.
Kate and Jimbo says, flip-flop? It's a flexibility of thought. Football is about feelings, and I feel like a European champion. Come on, you Spurs. Ange in. Love you both. Big up to Kate. Big up to Jimbo. The king and the queen of the pre-match pump-up.
And what a season of pump-ups it's been.
Yeah, it really
unbelievable.
Has.
Fair play to them. They've really done a fantastic.
Everyone put your hands together for Kate and
Round
Jimbo.
of applause on Kate and Jimbo. It's really been a fantastic season of pump-ups, taking over from the great David Harris as well, who did a fantastic job before. And look, you're going to be pumping up the Champions League next season. So come on, Kate and Jimbo.
That 100%. Today I feel like a European champion.
Come on.
You know what I mean? European champion. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Come on.
Tom81 say, sorry guys, of course I meant Friday.
Yeah. Come on. Well, we're forgetting what day it is as well. Don't worry, Tom.
JRV says, I'm Ange in, but we to talk about next season. We need experience, quality signings. 22 losses. Over to you, Levy. It's now or never again. Ole, ole. And yeah, I mean, it very much is down to the hierarchy now to make the decision, to bring in the players, and to, you know, keep us well equipped or make us well equipped for next season.
Yeah, whether we keep Ange or not, they need to spend significantly.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Like, it's not a case of, oh, if we keep Ange, now we have to back him. It's like any manager we have come in needs serious backing to get us to a level next season. That's the reality. So it's not about whether we keep Ange or not, whether he gets back, whether the new manager gets back, because we've got such a young squad and we just need players who are going to be capable of just slotting into Champions League football.
Yeah. All right. Next one is from Alex E, saying Ange now brings us belief and cohesion. He has to stay, but only with an improved coaching staff to develop the team. Ange is not a great coach. Come on, you Spurs.
So what brings us? Yeah, I kind of agree. Maybe he does need some better backroom staff potentially, which I think has been a bit of an issue. I think that is something, because he always brings in different backroom staff, so he doesn't have like a consistent backroom staff. So you kind of maybe doesn't really know what he's getting sometimes from the different kind of stuff, and maybe we could use some higher class people behind him. That's true, but look, he picks the staff, so he's got to take responsibility for that, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. That's an end to the super chats. A big up to each and every one of you that have sent one in. Let's go on.
Just quick running over the poll.
Yeah, go on.
1,700 votes, nearly 1,800. 62% in, 38% out at the moment. So everyone is leaning, not everyone, significant portion are leaning towards in at the moment. Still fairly decent though. Still saying out of the 1,800 people voting. Get your votes in. Make sure you get your voices heard. You put your vote in. But yeah, at the moment, in is leading. I've did a poll on Twitter as well. I want to see if it's any different. The poll on Twitter, that one is 2,200 votes, and that's 64% in, 35% out. So a bit more in on Twitter than on our chat.
But the general consensus from social media fans is in.
Seems to be in at the moment, yeah.
Ian JD with a super chat here saying, can we afford to take the risk keeping Ange? I think we can.
For sure. I think for me, it's more of a risk. Look, again, it's depending. If we're talking about managers who we're bringing in, who are also rookies at this level, like Iraola and Frank and Silva and people like that who haven't managed in the Champions League, why is that less of a risk? Why? Because they've had half decent league campaigns with smaller clubs. Fair enough. Fair play to them. They're good managers. But why is that less of a risk bringing him into a Champions League situation than keeping with Ange, who's got a European trophy behind him?
Yeah. I see Sava has made his way to the chat.
Come on, Sava. You getting the tattoo? I want to know.
Sava, surely you've got the tattoo already, right?
Come on. We're waiting for it.
I know you're a man of your word, Sava.
We need to get Daigle on the case.
Daigle's definitely a man of his word.
Exactly.
He's got the tattoo to prove it. But 1 second. All right, I think we'll go into a Tottenham update next. Got a few things to talk about there.
He said tattoos happening, lol. Come on. Sava's a man of his word.
Love that. Absolutely love that. I hope it's a picture of Ange, and underneath it says, I'm loving Big Ange instead.
Ange forever. Ange in. Now, I want Ange in tattooed. Oh, my God. I need Ange in tattooed.
Say the tattoo's happening, but when's the tattoo happening? That's the big question.
Oh, good question. And where is it? Where is it? And where are you putting it?
Exactly. Someone says that it needs to be on the forehead.
Now, wherever it is, I'll appreciate you're a man of your word.
All right, well, let's get into this Tottenham update. First up is David Ornstein talking about potential transfer plans going into the summer. And he says Tottenham now have money from winning the Europa League, entering the Champions League, so they will get busy in the transfer market. I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing this at the beginning of every single transfer window that we go into. Just go and do it. Just go and do it. Like we're into so unknown right now with the manager, director of football. Like, how can we even start planning if these things aren't ironed out yet? Yeah,
that's the thing. Exactly. Paratici has to come in. We have to confirm that. We haven't really confirmed that yet. We need to decide on the manager. We need to decide on all these different things. Recruitment. Are they going to want recruitment people? Fabio's going to bring some recruitment people to the club. They're going to want to compile their own list of transfers. And while we're doing all this, other clubs are making moves in the transfer market. They're getting their... They're running already with their lists and they're getting deals done. Cunha's already off the market now. He's made a move to Man United. Other clubs are making moves in this position. So we've got to get a move on. I absolutely agree. No use all this saying, yeah, we're gonna. No use saying we're gonna move quick in the track. Well, we're gonna make moves in the market. We're already behind. We need to start making moves now.
Yeah. Next up, we are going to talk about Cuti Romero, as Fabrizio Romano says that Romero's situation is one to follow, as currently there's no active conversations over extending his contract. With Champions League football, Daniel Levy will try his best to keep Romero despite strong interest, especially from Spain. And Dan Kilpatrick says that whether Postecoglou stays or goes could factor into whether Romero is willing to stay at Tottenham this summer, as the defender is close with the manager. Which that's an interesting one. Yeah, especially after Romero, what Postecoglou said about Romero after the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, and we've heard that throughout the season, that wasn't it? I think it was after the Chelsea game. Obviously, Romero did that thing against the board, and we've heard that he's been one of the ones defending Ange a lot of the time, and he's one who's very much fully behind Ange. So it's quite interesting. What's interesting is Romero staying or not. Does Ange staying means he signs a contract, or just means he's willing to stay? There's I think there's two different questions. So whether he signs a contract, I don't know. I just think if Ange leaves, maybe he's like, look, I'm just one out now. I want to leave immediately. But if Ange stays, maybe he's like, look, I'm willing to stay, but I'm still not willing to sign a contract, potentially. I don't know if it's possible right now for him to get him to sign a contract. That's the problem.
Yeah, I just don't know if the hierarchy will let it like rumble on like they did with Harry Kane. I know we got good money in the end for Harry Kane, but Harry Kane's a bit of a different. I mean, look, Romero's a significant player as well, one of the best defenders, that we've seen since Toby and Jan, or maybe even the best since Toby and Jan. But like, with 2 years left in his deal come this summer, this is like the last chance to get real top whack for him if we can get it, and it's obviously going to be decreasing year by year. So
I mean, yeah, this
will
season,
Levy let it go past 2 years?
This season you're looking at 70, 80 million.
Yeah.
Next season you're probably still looking at 40 to 50. I would say.
But that's just money back.
As I'm saying, that's money, but yeah, true. But still, it's like not you're losing 20, 30 million. It's not like, I mean, that if you get Champions League football off the back of it, you can say it's worth it.
Yeah, but also that's a big if we're getting Champions League football off the back of it.
Well, if we don't, then he's leaving anyway. Well, we got bigger problems.
Yeah, but if you're thinking about it from like Daniel Levy's perspective, like 20, 30, potentially 40 million is significant, really significant.
Yeah, but I think Ange is so right though, is when he says if you leave, who are you going to replace him with? There's not many people like him.
And that's the way I'm thinking. But it all depends on where Romero's mindset is at. Like, because if his mindset is at like, look, I just don't want to be here anymore, I want to go to Spain, then you have to just let him go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality. If he is willing to stay here, then there's a conversation to be had. Do you let him run down that contract? I don't know, but it all depends on his mindset. And like, I don't know, why wasn't he at the stadium yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a bit of a weird one. Vice captain, not there last day of this.
And he was there at the parade, and
yeah,
there at the parade and wasn't there. It's not like Decky who couldn't come back. He was there.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't come. I don't know if he let him go on holiday early or something.
Is that significant in this development?
Potentially. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly why. I can't. I'm not close to him, so I can't tell you. Maybe he has a reason, which is a personal reason he couldn't be there for one or something. But it is odd, for sure. It's odd. It leaves a question mark, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Especially like we know that
all the rumors of him leaving,
with Atletico, playing under Simeone, going to his comments about going to play in Spain and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not looking good. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, at the moment, if I were to put money on it, I would say he's leaving for sure right now.
And if he does leave, it does put us back massively, because I think Romero and Van der Ven have built such a good relationship on the pitch. And when they play, like Ange said, we have a much more significant chance of winning than we do if they're both not playing. And if Romero does leave, who can we replace him with that comes in straight away and clicks as well as they do?
Yeah. I just hope as well, as much as I think they're good defenders, I really hope we don't sell Romero and think Danso and Dragoshin are the other answer, really. Because I don't see that being the case, especially in Champions League. Like, are they going to be the answer when we're playing in that competition? I just don't. I think they're good, don't get me wrong, but Dragoshin's young. Danso is a good defender, don't get me wrong, but he's nowhere near Romero's level. Like, let's not get it twisted. He's good, but he's not. I don't know. I think Europa League might be his level. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's a Champions League level defender, Danso. So like, these are good players, but I really hope we don't think, oh, okay, we've signed these guys and they're going to be the answer to replacing Romero. Yeah. I just don't think right now they are.
But also, we can't just keeping to stockpile defenders, because we've got
also a problem.
Vuskovic coming back, we've got Phillips coming back, we've got Danso. Like, the only reason we brought in Danso is because of Dragoshin's injury, and he's going to be back at the start of next season. So something's got to give. We can't just keep stockpiling.
I would consider selling Dragoshin, I think.
Yeah, potentially. But again, like, if we do make a manager change, and let's say we do bring in a Glasner or an Inzaghi or something like that, Dragoshin would be really good for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously avoid the headache if Romero stays, but we'll see.
Yeah. Footy Insider says Tottenham are not considering parting ways with Son Heung-min this summer. So it looks like he is. Yeah. But I do feel it is true.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think he's just going to see out his 1 year.
Yeah, so it looks like we probably will be going into Sonny's last year at the club next season.
Although, is there a chance like we'll go into the season thinking, okay, it's going to be his last year, and then he just has such a good season, we have to give him an extension.
I hope that's the
It's happened
case.
before with other players. Like I remember Aubameyang, like at Arsenal, he was going to his last year, and they looked like they was going to just let him go, and then he had such a good season. They just had, or end of the season anyway. Like they signed him up on a new deal. Like there's always, you never, like when players are playing for a new deal, sometimes it can unlock something else in them.
But also now Son's won the trophy. I feel like he'll probably think like, look, my time's probably like he'll probably want to move on for himself.
Yeah, he might do. Yeah, it's a good chance of that as well.
Yeah,
just see how he's won last year. Have one more year at Tottenham, like as a tour around what's
club legend,
as a club legend, and then walk into the sunset. I don't know where he would go after, but you know, yeah, I think it's likely his last year.
There's always been rumours that he wants to end his career in Korea, back in you know. Where he, I don't even know, he never played in Korea, so I think he might want to end his career in Korea.
Yeah, but he's still, what, he'll be 30, so he's 33 now? Or
he's
32
now, so by this time next year he'll be 33.
Yeah, so, I mean, he might feel like he's got a couple years left in him to play at a good level. Before, you know, he can go to Korea at like 37.
True.
Go to Korea at 40. and he'll still get a club.
I just don't see him going to somewhere like Saudi.
No, but I think he can still play at a top level. I don't know whether he'll go in as a starter at a top team, but like I think top teams will still look at it. A good team, would still look at him. I think, like maybe someone like an Inter, maybe I don't know something.
Yeah, I could see an Inter or a Milan, AC Milan, someone like that. Maybe even back to the Bundesliga. Bundesliga suits him.
Yeah, could go back to Bundesliga. He speaks German.
So next up, last but not least, we'll talk about Ryan Mason, as TalkSport have brought up that Tottenham assistant manager Ryan Mason is the leading candidate to join West Brom to be their manager next season.
Yeah.
And if he does end up going there, that might end up being an attractive proposition for some loans for our academy players.
And maybe we're definitely going to be taking a very keen eye on how he does, I'm sure, in terms of future, because we know him, the club know him very well. I think, you know, we've obviously made him interim a couple of times, and he's very highly thought of at Tottenham. So if he does a good job, I wouldn't be surprised if one day he's back here. So I think we'll definitely be keeping a good eye. And look, it's a fairly big job for you. I know it's you know, other managers have had bigger first jobs, but for someone like Mason, I know he's managed Tottenham, you know, an interim basis, but West Brom's a pretty good club to be your first managerial job. So if he does well there, that's quite impressive.
Yeah. No.
So good luck to him if he goes there.
I hope he does go there, because I think like he needs to go out of Tottenham for a little bit and just to
find himself.
Yeah, find himself, further his career, you know, make a real start in his career, because his first job is never going to be the Tottenham job. It's just not going to happen. So he needs to go and make a name for himself in this game and see if he can fulfill the potential that Spurs think he has. And if he does, then, you know, he could be future manager here one day. But yeah, it was really nice to see Ryan Mason on the bus and everything. Like the amount of years he's been here. He's probably been at Spurs the longest out of everyone in the whole club.
Yeah, I would say so.
So all the struggle that he's had to go through, the injury that he's had and everything, to celebrate that trophy, it must have been unbelievable.
I mean, in 2008, I think he played a game for us. I think. Like, I remember in Europa League, I think it's like...
so was he in the squad when we won the cup in 2008?
No, but...
Was he at the club?
No, it was the season after.
He must have been at the club, though.
At the club, he was, yeah. But I'm saying the season after, I think it was it him? Maybe it wasn't him.
That's mad, isn't it? Ryan Mason was at the club when we last won a trophy.
Yeah, he was in the youth.
Yeah,
he was
still,
there.
he was at the club.
Yeah. He was, I'm pretty sure he made an appearance in Europa League against Den Haag, I think, in a Europa League game the season after we won the trophy. Then obviously, what was it? Actually, I can't remember. I think he might have been in a squad maybe. But obviously he played in 2014. He was playing for Tottenham. But I think he's been there. I think he was in the youth like 2006, 2007 at the time.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let's go on and see how the internet did react to all that was going on at the stadium yesterday. So let's go on to social media. Let's get X up. And I love this one. If you just refresh that. All right, let's do it. Let's go and see how the internet did react. And first up is got to mute the audio on it.
Do you know how to do?
Mute the audio on the web page. No, it's in like on Wirecast. On the screen capture. Yeah, we good? Yeah. All right, let's go and see how the internet did react to the game yesterday. We all good? All right, cool. Next up is, first up is Vicario on Instagram. So effing Spursy. I love it.
Brilliant. He's been on top form. The history of the Tottenham. And I love that. And so effing Spursy. Where's he off to? Private
Italy,
jet
I
somewhere.
reckon.
Yeah, for sure.
Mari says, Your Majesty, this trophy is all yours. The way Solanke just handed Son the trophy there.
Love that. With a bow. Fantastic. Giving royalty. He's royalty now, Son. Come
He
on.
is. He is Tottenham
Absolutely.
royalty.
Yeah, the pictures of Sonny with the trophy yesterday were phenomenal. So great.
BLTHFC saying, the fact is in Feb we sacrificed coming 11th to 14th for a chance of winning European trophy. It paid off. Of course, this shouldn't be made a regular occurrence. Ange's mindset was breaking the drought over finishing higher. I doubt next season will be the same. Let's see if Levy keeps him. And yeah, I mean, that's what we've been kind of speaking about today. And the reality is, right, finishing 17th, finishing somewhere like 13th, like, really, who cares?
It doesn't make a difference to me. And I think, yes, I think in a different world, if we were in a different point, obviously you wouldn't want to just sacrifice the league form to you know, for a cup, and you still want to maintain some sort of standards in the league. But I think just for this club right now, I just do think it was the right decision. I think it's probably the right thing to do. And you're not getting those scenes if we don't do that. I don't think you're not getting this feeling and the joy, and also breaking the cycle, breaking that cycle of disappointment, and actually, you know, believing we can do this and we can win these trophies. And yeah, I think for me, once March came, we were so far off the European places anyway. There was really not much point. Obviously you have to try and improve the league, not losing intentionally. I doubt Ange went into games losing, but when it comes to prioritizing, there was no point not prioritizing those Europa League.
But everyone at that moment in time says we have to prioritize the Europa League,
and that's what it looks like,
and that's what it is,
especially with our squad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like right now, but when he's prioritising the Europa League, the Premier League teams, we don't have the squad.
And we had players that were just coming back from long injuries. Like, we had to just bleed them in. We couldn't just play them all every single game, otherwise they would have got injured again, and some of them did. Yeah,
and then in the Premier League as well, we're playing like proper teenagers, like throughout the whole team. The likes of Gray, Otel, Odebear, playing Davis at centre back. Like we're playing players out of position, sometimes a full back as well. We're just resting everyone, and yes, it hurt our league form, but that's what we needed to do, I felt. And look at the team in the Premier League. Obviously, there's a lot of talent there, but when it comes to actually being a team in the Premier League ready to just consistently pick up results, it's just not there, unfortunately.
Look, it's a good decision if you get over the line. It's a bad decision if you don't get over the line. And we did get over the line. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I still think, even if we don't get over the line, it didn't work, but I think it was still probably the right thing to do.
Potentially, yeah. No Context Tottenham. This is a nice picture of the 2019 Cup final team out in Madrid.
Yeah, I love that.
And Sonny, the last man standing and the only one with a trophy to his name for Tottenham Hotspur. What a picture that is.
God, that's an unbelievable picture.
Clara, this is Sonny with Heung-min Dad.
Heung-min Dad got the oversized trousers on. He's a man of style. That's where Sonny gets it from. Come on. Love it.
George Bannister says, incredible man manager and superb motivator, but in a top quality league campaign or across multiple competitions, that's his weakness. Spurs can keep Ange if they want to hedge their bets on cup runs. But to be a good team across the board, he has to go with a huge thank you. And look, that was definitely the case this season with the way it all panned out. But if we have a much stronger squad going into next season, you know, people might form different opinions.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's fair to come with the opinion that he's come to. Understand why, because first season he went out of all the cups early and finished fifth. So he had a decent league campaign, and this season he's had cups to contend with, and we've completely fallen off a cliff in the league, but done well in the cup. So when you're looking at that, you probably come to the conclusion, okay, you can only do one or the other. But he's only had one season where he's had to do both. Let's see, give him another season. Let's see if he can learn from those mistakes and start to juggle both with a deeper squad. I think definitely a lot of mistakes last season with recruitment, buying too young, too inexperienced, and buying and basically relying too heavily on teenagers with very little talented, yes, but too little inexperience at this level to carry us through times, especially when you double down that recruitment with the injury crisis that we had. So we had to rely on these players for months at a time, and we had to ask them to try and get us wins when they're just so new to the league and the team. It was just a complete kind of melting pot of disaster essentially that happened. But I'm just hopeful and confident that that's not going to happen again. And I know people believe it will, but I really think if we can learn those lessons, it won't necessarily happen again.
Also, you know what I don't understand is when people say that Ange can only adapt for the Europa League. Like, Europa League is just a game of football. Like, a Premier League game is a game of football. Like, so if he's shown he can adapt, that means he can adapt in any game. Like, I don't, just because he only adapted in the Europa League towards the end of the season because that's where our focus was, does that mean he can't adapt in a Premier League campaign next season? Of course it doesn't.
But also he did adapt early. Like, if you look at for example, the game at Anfield, we got battered 4-0, but we tried a low block in that game, and it didn't work at all. We got battered, and Liverpool smashed us. But we did try it, right? Just because it doesn't work doesn't mean he doesn't try and adapt in some games. He's at Everton, he tried to adapt. He went for a back three, didn't work. It was a disaster, but he does try to adapt. And obviously, in the Europa League,
maybe it's
it did work
successfully then.
Yeah, it's fine. And obviously, Europa League, he managed to do it. But I think people saying he doesn't adapt. I think it's lazy analysis.
Maybe the kind of thing thrown at him should be he can't adapt successfully in the Premier League because he hasn't shown that. Yeah, maybe in a couple of games like Man City, we didn't play like classic Ange ball in that game, and a few other games in the Premier League. Brentford, we hit them more in the transition kind of thing, and the majority of games where we've done well this season have been more transitional based games. So I think he will look at that next season, and he'll probably able to show those things more often. Yeah, and I think now we've been able to show a different side to us. Like, we are able to sit deep and soak up pressure and actually defend well. Which we haven't seen before. I remember right at the beginning of the season, we were quite good on the ball and keeping possession and keeping penning teams in. But I remember he used to say do we even train defensively? You know what I mean? We used to say that we had the worst rest defense, probably I can imagine. But that's not the case now from what we've seen. So if we can kind of use different strings to our bow, I think now we've worked that out a bit. I think there's reason to believe he can start to use that a bit more. Yeah, I don't think it necessarily means he has to use it every game. No. Which is what people say, he needs to now go defensive. It's not like that, but let's just see it more. Yeah, and especially in big away games, you know what I mean? When we go to Liverpool, when we go to Man City, when we go to you know what I mean? These kind of games, you want to see him manage those games using his head a bit more and a bit more clever situation, which he did do against Man City this season. We beat them 4-0. I also think a lot of it comes from we had such a young, inexperienced team as well. A lot of it is the players themselves implementing his ideas, and because they're inexperienced, they just have been making a lot of mistakes, and they have been. And now they've got a year down the line in that development. Obviously, we get some more experience in. Hopefully, they were going to be more ready to do what he needs us to do on the pitch. Spurs OTM bringing up a quote from Mesut Ozil back in 2023, and he's going through some unwanted Spurs records, and he says, who else should be able to break that record? Bottle Job FC is back. And what happened with him when he played a Europa League final for Arsenal? He just walked past that trophy with a solemn look on his
Pretty
face.
sure he doesn't have a European trophy, Mezzo. So I don't think he ever
Did
won
he not
one at
won for
Madrid.
Real Madrid?
No, because they won La Decima after he left. Now that was their first one in a long time. Because Bale scored the winner and Bale came in when Ozil left.
Who's the bottle job now then?
I don't think he has. Obviously, he has a World Cup, but he doesn't have a European club, a club level European trophy.
Who's the bottle job now then,
Come
Mr.
on,
Mesut Ozil? This is Spurs fans serenading Ange.
This was a lovely moment.
Whistle yesterday. Brilliant stuff.
It must be so special for him, like with his family there, like in front of the South Stand, getting all the chanting and serenading, especially when I'm sure his family have been the ones also seeing so much criticism he's had, and they've probably felt a lot of the criticism he's had, and it's probably put him under stress, and it's put them under stress. So for them, him, his kids, his boys, and his wife to have that moment at the end of the season after he achieved something special in front of the South Stand, probably so. And he's also lifts. I think there's a point he lifts the trophy in front of the South Stand here.
But there was a moment just before that where his wife like taps him on the shoulder and goes, "Go on, give it to them." So his wife was like pushing him to go and do that with the fans. It was nice.
So lovely. So I'm so happy he had that moment, and he's had a few of those moments over the last few days. But I'm so happy for him because he's just taken so much this season. He has. The whole season.
Which, a lot of it's been warranted.
A lot of it, but it's also, first of all, a lot is warranted, but a lot of it's unwarranted in terms of just like him calling him a clown, bashing him this quote over the head with him second season, always win something the second season. All these big accounts, whenever we get knocked out of an FA Cup, saying, oh, he always wins something in the second season, always wins something in the second season, and constantly bashing him over the head with it. And then now he's come away with that trophy and he's basically stuck two fingers up to everyone, and he's achieved, and his story goes on, his story of where he's been, where he's come from, and where he is now, winning something everywhere he goes, and doing it at a club that hasn't won anything in 17 years. Like, it's just a phenomenal continuation of that story.
Champions of Europe says Ange, with the worst Spurs team in history, still having a bigger European legacy than Wenger. That's quite something, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
Not just the European legacy than Wenger, European legacy than the whole of Arsenal Football Club in their history.
Exactly.
Next one's from Cody Mack. If you were going to sack Ange, it should have happened ages ago. You can't leave him in charge in the hope he wins the Europa League. Have him succeed and then sack him. He starts next season on thin ice for me, but he's earned the right to continue. I don't begrudge anyone who wants him out. And yeah, I think that's fair enough, to be honest.
Yeah.
I do think that's completely fair enough. And that's pretty much where I stand on it.
Look, for me, it depends. What does, you say starts on thin ice, but like, what does that mean? Like, how bad does it have to be to sack him, or do you have to set him certain targets at the beginning of the season, like after this point we have to be here, or like what does thin ice mean?
I don't think it's like you have to be at a certain position by like the 10th or 15th game of the season, but we need to show that we mean business in the season. If we've like started the first 15 games, because sometimes you can know like from the start of the season, like Nuno, he won his first 3 games, but we all knew that wasn't sustainable. We all knew the results were about to turn, and they ultimately did, and he ended up getting sacked, and quite rightly so, because it just never clicked. And look, maybe he was sacked a bit too early and wasn't able to implement his ideas. But Ange, this is his 3rd season, so if it just doesn't look right from the get-go, and we're not putting coherent performances together, we're getting over the line in some games, but it's just not looking right.
How early can you sack him?
I think between 10 and 15 games.
Between 10 and 15, which is what, November time?
Yeah.
That's usually sacking season, to be fair.
I think around that time.
Well, before the January window.
Yeah, before like the big December rush and then January window.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I get, depending on how bad we are. I guess November's a good, kind of given to November to kind of, you get some Champions League games in there. You get, see where we're doing the Carabao, and also the league barometer. Like, see where we are.
If it comes to November and we've already had like 6 or 7 losses in the season.
What about if we're flying high in the Champions League?
But I mean, by then, how many games in the Champions League would be like 3 games into the Champions League?
3 or 4 maybe, yeah.
Yeah, which is, we'll be halfway through the group stage. Because it starts later.
Is it?
Because the Champions League group stage goes into the new year now, doesn't it?
It's like September to January.
Yeah, so it won't be that far into the Champions League. It'll be like three or four games.
3 or 4, that's halfway through.
I guess, yeah.
8 games. Well, if we're like in the top 8 in the Champions League and we're like 10th in the league.
I still think it will be able to be carried on with a new manager. So I think from then until November, it has to be judged on mainly the league form. Do you not agree?
No, I understand, but I'm just wondering what.
No, do you agree?
Yeah, probably. I think if he's still showing this kind of league form up until November, then yeah, I think you just got to say, okay, we gave it a go. We gave him another chance. We've given another like 10 to 15 games. We've given him some Champions League games, and it's just we're not seeing any improvement whatsoever. So I think we've just got to go in a different direction.
What if we won the Super Cup?
On the Super Cup. Oh, are you going to sack the manager that won the Super Cup? Are you really going to do that? I think that's fair. I also kind of feel like a lot of times when you're only giving a manager till then, I do agree, sometimes you are on a bit of hiding to nothing when you're already in that position. It's almost like you're kind of waiting for it to go wrong. But
I don't think so. Like, because if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Like, we're giving him the chance to make it right in the league, aren't we? And I think that's still a significant period of time.
You know, but if we're playing well while losing, like let's say we start the season like this season, like we did last season. You know, playing well, but just getting a bit lucky and unlucky in some games, and you know,
your WhatsApp's on the screen.
Now, what if we're like, you know, playing well, but like some games unlucky, some games are winning really well, some games we have 1 or 2 really bad defeats like Leicester and Brighton, but some games we played really well, but we didn't get the result we should have. Like, do we sack? Like, let's say, okay, just like this season, let's say when was the Man City game? That was in December, right? I think we were 6th after 12 games. It was 6 wins. I think it was 7 wins, 5 losses after 12 games. Do we sack him if we're in that position?
Sorry, say that. What's the record? 6 wins.
It was 7 wins, and I think it was 7 wins and 5 losses.
7 wins
in December. And I think we were 6th.
Yeah, I said like if we get like 5, 6, 7 losses by November, then he probably has to go.
But we got 7 wins, and we were near the top.
Yeah, look, if we're near the top, it'll be hard to sack him, to be honest. So, yeah, I think you just have to keep him until it's untenable.
Till the wheels fall off.
Yeah. Until like fans start to lose hope, and maybe, you know, I think as well, if we lose a significant amount of games start next season, I do think players will start to lose a bit of hope as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's only so much they can probably take.
Yeah. BLTHFC. Did I do this one?
No, you did the Cody Mack one, I think.
I've come to the conclusion that we literally cannot sack Ange. What message does that send to future managers? Don't risk winning silverware at the expense of a respectable league position. Otherwise, you'll be sacked. This is why we've had managers prioritize top 4 over cups. I mean, we've had managers prioritize top 4 over cups because that's been what the club hierarchy have given them as a remit for the season. In terms of this, like, what message does it send to other managers? I mean, at the end of the day, he did finish 17th, so there's still like
some sort of standard.
Yeah,
which is fine, which I understand. Like, you know, 17th, you this club can't be finishing 17th. I think it's fair enough standard to have, but as well, those big European Cup competitions do get you back in the Champions League anyway, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. You give glory to the fans, and you get that Champions League money for the club.
Yeah, but 17th is also
17th is 17th. Yeah.
I don't think
those other managers probably, even if they would have prioritized cups.
How many years in the last 10 would we have got relegated with this points tally?
I think none.
None.
In the last 10?
Yeah, in the last 10 years.
We would have, like, earlier on in the Premier League. For the last 10 years, you wouldn't have been relegated.
It's 40 points not been a thing over the last 10 years then. Because that's been usually like the thing, hasn't it? Like, hit 40 points,
People say
you'll be all right.
But that's because 40 points is like guaranteed. Yeah. But like usually it's like actually
we didn't even hit. What was it? 38.
Yeah. Usually it's like 33. It's usually all right. This nowadays.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't looked into it. I'm pretty sure with 38 we're pretty safe.
Has anyone gone down with 38 points?
We'll put it this way: the most points anyone has ever gone down with was 42. Right? That was West Ham in 03. That's the most. And so but even that was really rare, and that was like 4 points more than what we had. So I think teams have gone down with 38 because West Ham did, but mainly earlier on in the Premier League.
It's mad, like 25 points Leicester got, and they finished 18th. Last year, Luton 26. Year before, Leicester 34. Year before that was Burnley 35, so it's getting closer. Year before that was Fulham 28, so that's back down there. Then was Bournemouth 34, so not far off it, to be fair, like 4 points. Cardiff 34. Swansea 33. Hull 34, so it looks like 34 is like the most.
Yeah.
Newcastle 37. And 10 years would be Hull 35.
Yeah, so you would have stayed up.
Newcastle 37 is the most. So we would have stayed up in one of those seasons would have stayed up by 1 point. In a few of them, like 4 points. So it's still very, very close.
Yeah, true. It's close, but we would have stayed up.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Kane from the Lane. I think that if he sacks Ange now, I'll go from the most connected I've ever felt to this football club to the least straight away. It'll be worse than when he sacked Poch, and I didn't think that was possible. Levy, do the right thing for once. And it's true, like, in terms of feeling connected to his football club, because I think, like, the majority of fans, particularly match-going fans and, you know, fans that are just so proud of this Europa League trophy, it's probably made everyone just fall in love with the club all over again. I know that's how I feel.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we've finally got that feeling, that connection, we're feeling that unity. And, you know, we'll then have to get behind a different manager, which I'm sure that we will if whoever's appointed, but it's just about establishing that connection again. And I don't know if it's worth losing this one just for like looking at the options out there. I'm not just convinced that that's the right call right now.
Richarlison on Instagram put a post out today, and he says, when this season started, all I wanted was to be healthy, to help my team have a better year. I knew it would be important to have to me mentally, and also finally repay somehow the love I've received these past few years from the Spurs fans and all those who cheer me on. Nobody said it would be easy, but they also didn't imagine it would be this hard. There were days and nights of much anxiety, treatments, pain, and a martyr that seemed to have no end. But there was, and it was when I returned to Brazil for a week in February after another injury that things started to change. Being around mine in those days changed a lot for me, had me feeling like old Charlin, the kid who just wanted to play ball. Being in the field has always been therapeutic for me, even before I discovered the power of therapy. It's my best medicine and the one that cures almost all my problems. And it was like that, playing ball without fear, until my legs could no longer take fatigue and cramping that I felt on the field on Wednesday. With a trophy in hands, a heart full of joy, and with my team so undiscredited during the season champion. Thank you to everyone who has been by my side and been part of the very special moment, always believing and encouraging me, even in the most difficult moments. Thank you to Tottenham management, players, technical committee, staff, and my whole staff for making it happen together. And we're going for more with 3 blue hearts. So that doesn't sound like he's thinking of leaving.
Yeah, we're going for more. I mean, the paragraph before does.
Yeah.
And then he says we're going for more. So is that a I'm not leaving post or goodbye
I don't know, like,
post?
I did get the sense, being at the stadium yesterday, from what he was like, it felt like he was like saying a goodbye, or like, I don't know. He just looked.
Maybe he felt like it could be a goodbye.
Yeah, because you know what Richarlison's usually like. He usually like
so emotional,
but like he's such a happy guy for the most part, right? And he's always jovial and having jokes with people and having fun. I didn't see that from him after the game yesterday. And he was going into the fans, walking away a bit subdued. Sometimes just standing on the pitch by himself, looking a bit down. So I thought, like, mate, is this going to be the last we've seen of him?
Yeah, I think likelihood, yes. And I think, look, fair play to Richie, because in this Europa League run, he's had a really big part to play, I think. in the semi-finals and the final, in terms of how hard he worked and how he playing on that left-hand side, doing a lot of kind of donkey work for the team. And fair play to him. He's had he's come into the team late into the season, and again with injury problems, and he's made an impact. And fair play to him doing on that left-hand side. I just feel like Rishi. Obviously, I think there's a good player in there. I think we've seen that when he's been on the pitch and been fit. There is a good player there, but unfortunately, it just hasn't been able to happen anywhere near enough over the last 2 years, and that's been a big problem. And reading that what he said, it was very heartfelt, and I appreciate what he's saying. But he last season it was very similar. He was going through a tough time, then something happened, and it kind of changed everything. And he obviously went on that goal scoring streak, and there was a moment where it changed for him. But it's just sad that it went kind of back again, where he went back down to that mind, it got into his mind or got into his own head again, and he started feeling down, and he had to have another moment where it all changed. I just hope he can kind of get out of those moments where he can just be Rishi and be himself and be that player that we know on a consistent basis, and get on that pitch and look. If you told me right now next season Rishi's going to be fit the whole season, I'll be like, okay, he can stay. But unfortunately, we can't really rely on that right now. That's
for me,
problem.
even if you're going to tell me like Richie is going to be fit for the season, I would still say we probably should part companies, in my opinion, because you're looking at the two number 9 options, Richarlison and Solanke, and they're both decent, good players in their own right. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like that's like a Europa League strike force, and I feel like we need one to take us to the next level. That's a Champions League level striker, right? I don't really believe that Solanke and Richarlison are like top level Champions League strikers. I feel like they're just a level below that.
They're both, but you got two good strikers there, and I think we haven't had them both fit up until now, really. When did Richarlison come back? Richarlison and Solanke came back. I can't even remember. But
it was in the last couple of months of the season.
Literally, and when they've come back, they've both actually been quite good, I feel.
Yeah, look, they've had impacts, don't get me wrong, but like I said, I feel like they're just we need one of that level and one of a better level, in my opinion. I don't think they're both like Champions League. Like, that's not two pairings that you want to go in the Champions League with, in my opinion.
I think in an ideal world, you want an upgrade, yeah. I think so, but I also do think like when you can have two good level strikers like that, and that be good enough. I really do believe that, because if you can get them both scoring goals and being confident and rotating with each other and battling out with each other, driving each other on, those are two good options to have. But I think in an ideal world, yes, if we can upgrade on one of them, I would do it. I would do it
exactly.
Sure.
But look, I've always been a supporter of Richie. I love Richie. I love his mentality. I just feel like it's probably come the time where it's probably best to move on.
If we can get a good fee for yeah, I think so. I think it's that time, unfortunately, for him.
All right, let's move on. Next up is Spurs OTM. This is the moment when the stadium is buzzing, and then a certain chairman comes on screen, and then the stadium goes into boos just for a few seconds. They quickly got him off the screen. But I thought that was interesting because they're parading the trophy around the stadium. Obviously, the stadium is buzzing. Everyone's cheering, and then he comes on screen, and there's a boo.
Which is it's interesting, and also obviously goes to show that the feelings in the stadium towards him, even after winning that trophy, hasn't gone away. And all those protests we had during the season is not as much as all the toxicity around the club has fallen in one fell swoop. Not necessarily the feelings towards Levy and the management, because maybe they feel like we've done it in spite of them rather because of them. But what I want to say is he does deserve some credit, because he didn't sack Ange, and I think everyone was calling for Ange to be sacked, and everyone was saying that had to be done, and why he took the decision we don't know for sure, but the reality is he didn't take that decision, and instead of doing what he usually does, which is sack the manager during the season and then write off the rest of the season, he stuck with him till the end. He might still sack him now, but he stuck with him, and it paid off because we got that trophy. And I think if he did sack him, I think there's a good chance we wouldn't have that trophy, in my opinion.
Yeah, so, that is fair enough to say, but it's all about what happens now. Now is where he earns his money. Now is where he can build a bit of kind of momentum with the fan base and a bit of a connection with the fan base if he puts his money where his mouth is, if he actually delivers on what he says he's going to deliver, and he wants to use this trophy as a springboard. That's what he said before the game yesterday. And I think that's when he can win a few fans over, if he goes and get us the experience that we need to kick us on to the next level and to show that we can bring sustained success to this football club that he says that he wants to do.
Yeah, because we've been here before, haven't we? In moments many times where we've been in moments where we know we can kick on, and he needs to do it. He needs to show that this is not another false dawn. This is not another moment that's going to fall by the wayside, and this is actually a moment we are going to kick on as a football club and really go for things and actually be serious in the market and be serious about kicking on. And I guess that's why there was so much love, yet when he comes on, there's still boos, because as much as, in my opinion anyway, he is part of that success of winning this trophy. I do believe that. But as much as he is, he still needs to be kicking us on. He still needs to be taking us to that next level, and that doesn't change even though we have got that trophy. But still, booing him with that while we're parading that trophy, we're booing him. I don't know how I feel about it, but I understand it, but I don't know how I feel about it. Look, I think he's part of the success. I do.
But he's also a part of why. The main reason of why we went into this season so underprepared.
I agree with you.
You know, as much as it finished off in a really good moment in winning the Europa League, first major trophy under Enix's 24 years tenure, like, yeah, fine, he deserves some credit for not sacking Ange and helping deliver the trophy. However, this season has been such a shit show. The amount of losses, the way we finished in the league, and I think that's why people are booing.
No, as I said, I understand it. I do. I completely understand it. I just don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I agree with it.
And also, you're looking at where we're at right now with other teams, Liverpool making significant signings, Arsenal making significant signings, Manchester United, the team that we beat in the cup final, who are also finishing as low as we did, making a significant signing. And we don't even know who our director of football or manager is going to be next season, and we can't make signings right now. The planning already isn't exactly perfect for next season.
No, that's also true. But this was this is while that's fine. But this is while we're literally parading the trophy round the stadium, and for that, those questions for this summer, not for that moment. And for me, I don't know, just booing him at that moment just didn't feel right.
All right. Next up is Kayla says, the way Leo went out of his way to find his uncle Sonny and say hi. He's his father's son for sure. I think this is Ben Davis's kid. Ben Davis is Davis's kid is.
One, I think, because you got on.
Oh, this is Sonny with Matt Wells and his family. Sonny just loves kids.
It's one of the best parts of the season, seeing Sonny with all the kids at the end of the season.
Yeah, that
he's always so cute.
Doesn't really sit right, just saying like Sonny loves kids, but he actually does.
He's great with kids. He's great with kids, Sonny. He just needs some of his own.
Yeah. Once it's all... Heung-min Dad must be watching.
Come on, he's got the trophy now. Let him get married. Come on, it's time. It's time.
Sonny needs a kid of his own, and yeah, the one further down. This is him with Ben Davis's kid, and
Scott, yeah,
and obviously Sonny is his godfather.
Yeah, fantastic, so cute. And Leo went to search him out. So funny. Oh, Sonny's so cute.
This one is brilliant. This is brilliant. Spurs fan in Thailand doing a victory parade to celebrate our Europa League win. They had their own open top bus in Thailand with just fans on it. I love this. Just wait for it. Look at this bus that come marauding through. Just holding up all the traffic on some busy high street in Thailand.
Look at it. Do they have the Europa League trophy?
I don't know.
Oh, this is brilliant. God, they've won. Yeah, they do. They've got a Europa League trophy. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. We should do that.
And then Tuk-Tuk's behind with Spurs flags.
There's another one there behind. Oh my God. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from Spurs. 3 buses is more than the actual parade. Look at that.
Hilarious.
Another bus. 4 buses.
Big up to Spurs career.
God, big
to
up.
Spurs Thailand, man.
Unbelievable.
Kieran says, we're going to have an actual discourse because we're losing an irrelevant match when everyone's hammered in the last 3 days. Please.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what I'm saying. Literally.
Some normality to the timeline. Come on. Like, these guys have been literally drinking their hearts out for the last 3 or 4 days, and you expect them to put in a coherent performance.
Yeah, never going to happen. This one is the Yidvids compilation. We're probably not going to watch the whole thing, but it's great. You should go watch it. Dan Yidvids with another generational edit. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, and the videos that have been coming out since the final have just been... Phew.
The ones with Ange over the music of My Way. Oh, that really gets me. I love it.
Did it my way. Jay says, this is the most shameless caption I've ever seen in my life. And after losing 4-1, Tottenham tweeted out, the Europa League champions are beaten on the final day.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Factual.
Absolutely factual. It was like when they said when we lost, we lost to Villa. It's like, good minutes for Sonny.
Yeah. I think the Spurs admin has done a great job over the last week or so.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. They need a pay rise. They've been cooking.
And then Tottenham tweeting out this incredible support today with all the flags
phenomenal.
out.
The sea of flags was really sight to behold.
With all the amount of flags and scarves I've got over the past couple of weeks, I mean, I'm really starting to build up a stockpile of them at home.
To frame them.
Nice one. Sonny says, just cried a little bit. And this is Madison with his kids on the pitch yesterday.
So cute. He's got the celebration down pat. Well done.
Tottenham saying a true club legend, and that is he definitely.
That's what it's all about. Look at that. Him and his trophy. Oh, so good.
Sash says final one this season. So this is the stats. So with Van der Ven and Romero, what's this? This points per game over a 38-game season. We would have finished on 70 points, which would be the 4th in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, we'll obviously be very reliant on them, but it shows what a difference it makes when we've got these guys on the pitch.
Yeah. I mean, other would just have been what that's just Danso and Gray or Davis and Gray, isn't it?
Basically,
and that's
17th. And to be fair, if you're looking at like Davis and Gray, how many teams they start for a centre back in the league?
None, probably.
That's the fit. So you know what I mean.
Jay Harris says Brighton have just scored their 4th goal, but Spurs fans are still loudly chanting for their team, and that made me proud yesterday. Yeah,
this is literally, you can see the flag. This is literally just after Brighton scored, and there people are getting the flags out, and that just goes to show how the feeling was in the stadium yesterday, despite the heavy defeat.
This one says people want us to win. It could ruin the chant's lyrics. Heck no.
Come on, we got the chant, people. We have the chant.
This one says, as you boys were talking about tattoos on stream, I thought you'd appreciate this one from yesterday.
Is Sava still watching?
I think he
Come on, because look at this tattoo.
I always win things in my 2nd year.
That's a great tattoo. Big up. Big up to Spursy 1567. Always win something in your 2nd year.
Oh, I've lost my place now.
When we scroll down, is it Sonny and Madison?
Yeah, Sonny and Madison. They're forming quite the bond, aren't they, Sonny and Madison?
Yeah, they really are. Madison.
Ben Haynes tweeting out, what an atmosphere. Big up to Ben Haynes. He's done a brilliant job all season as well.
Phenomenal. Glad he's really done well, the interviews and everything, and I'm sure it's been an emotional time for him as well, being a massive Spurs fan. And yeah, what a job he's done on the bus, on the parade, struggling to get those interviews while all the players were just acting like children.
He would have loved it.
Yeah, fantastic. But yeah, look at the sea of flags before the game. It's just phenomenal. It just shows how much this means. I mean, if the parade didn't, I mean, everything has sort of since then. But it's just, yeah, look at that. That sea of flags is something special.
Yeah. Ali Gold just tweeted out a heartfelt message from Postecoglou to Spurs.
No, I just like that so I could read it later. No, right, because I read it. If you scroll down, there's a funny George Achilles before the game. If you scroll down, he did a predicted lineup.
Yeah, I heard he put us at centre back.
He put me and you at centre back because everyone else was going to be too drunk. Big up to George Achilles.
And I think the one above that from Ben Haynes is pretty much how we were all feeling, needing some halls or some soothers.
Honestly, yeah,
my voice is still screwed.
Literally taking a massive battering with the voice.
Yeah. But I think that's it. That is how the internet did react to the last 24 hours of Tottenham Hotspur. Glory, glory night. But yeah, that's kind of it for Tottenham content. We've got...
Quick poll check. Nearly 2,500 in the poll. 62% still in 38 hours. Hasn't changed, despite a big influx of votes. On the Twitter poll, now over 3,000. Also same, 65.5% in, 34.5 out. So yeah, it's about 65, 30. Yeah, that's 60, 40. Well, a bit more, 62. Over 60%, put it that way, is still in at the moment.
We've got a couple of super chats from Phil P. Big up to Phil P. Phil, you must be avoiding me because all these games, all throughout Bilbao, I haven't seen you once. Didn't even see you yesterday.
Yes, I forgot. I don't think I saw you yesterday, Phil. I forgot last time.
Phil P says, anyone else tired but still buzzing? Season ticket renewed.
Come on, Phil.
Barry, you renewing your flip-flop?
Come on, Barry. Is he still angry at the 17th? Come on.
You know, Dad renewed as soon as he got back from Bilbao.
Did he?
Yeah. And Phil P again says, medals, Kuti more than Ozil.
At club level? Well, no, even at country level, because he's also, yeah. What club level? He must have won the league, no? Ozil at Madrid?
Yeah, with Mourinho.
Yeah, Mourinho. He must have won it once. No European trophies. And then he won, what, 2 FA Cups with Arsenal, maybe? Maybe 3. I don't know. I don't know how many trophies.
Well, Kuti's won more significant trophies.
Exactly.
Here's Barry. I knew he was watching. He says, no flip-flopping here. You renewed, Barry? Actually, I don't know if we want him to renew.
Who, Barry?
Yeah, I don't know if we want him to renew because, like, he considered himself a martyr not going to Bilbao, and we won. I think every time he goes to an away game, we lose. So, do we even want him to renew?
Barry, you should have come to Bilbao, mate. Can't believe you cancelled your hotel.
He says. He said if we only won because he didn't come.
I see. Sacrifice to the football gods.
All right, we're going to finish off on the very last review, the Prem of the season. Is this where Sim is going to meet his fate for the 3rd time in 3 years? What do we reckon, people?
Well, there's been a crazy comeback in the last 2 years on the last day. Not in my favour.
Is there going to be one this year? Well, the scores going into the last game week of the season was 365 to Sim, 404 to myself, which means 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. Starman, once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. And it's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. I'll be completely and brutally honest with you. I haven't seen much football over the course of yesterday. But let's go and review the games. So the Prem, Bournemouth, Leicester finished 2-0 to Bournemouth. Sim went for 3-0. I went for 2-0. So I get a big fat 5-pointer to extend my lead. Sim gets 1 point and Semenyo gets a double.
Yeah, good away for Bournemouth to end the season. Not enough for, well, where did they finish in the end? They finished 9th. So, I mean, you got to say, great season for Iraola and Bournemouth, isn't it? Leicester, interesting. Van Nistelrooy asked after the game if he's had any conversations with the Leicester chairman. He said he's still waiting to hear from them. It's been silent, he said. Sounds kind of ominous for him, similar maybe to Ange. But, good win for Leicester.
What do you reckon about?
Sorry, good win for Bournemouth. But
what do you reckon about Van Nistelrooy? Do you think they should stick with him in the Championship? Because he could be a good Championship manager and then maybe change managers if they get promoted again.
Yeah, but also could not be one. It's a bit of a risk. You could just get a tried and tested Championship manager rather than. I mean, have you seen anything enough from Van Nistelrooy?
Who do you mean, like Steve Cooper or someone?
Yeah, something like that. I think get him back. I won't be surprised. I think that'll probably be a better choice. So I reckon they let him go. I think probably I don't think he showed anywhere near enough to suggest he should stay.
Yeah. I mean, has there been apart from De Boer, like a statistically worse manager than Van Nistelrooy? Like, it's been terrible.
Yeah, it's been absolutely terrible. Yeah. Well, he did finish above. Well, to be fair, some decent form lately. Win, drawn, win in the last 4 games. What's happened to them?
Yeah, they're actually in the form table 7 points in the last 5.
Keep him. I think he's going to leave though. I think I'm going to sack him. But yeah, fair play to Iraola. 9th improvement on last season, which was I think 12th. So really good season for him all in the end.
Fulham, Man City. It finished 2-0 to Man City, where Man City confirmed their Champions League status for next season. Sim went for 1-0. I went for 2-1. Gundogan early doors, and then Haaland sealed off with a penalty with around 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, fair play. They sealed it in the end after looking a bit ropey, drawing to Southampton, leaving it a bit open, but good win. Deserved win as well. Never easy going to Craven Cottage and winning, and it'll put them in good stead next season to go again, and I think revamp the squad a bit. Obviously, we know Guardiola is staying for another couple of years, and he's going to leave them in a good place, I'm sure. But I'm sure they're going to have a big summer. They'll be back to their best next season.
Ipswich, West Ham. It finished 3-1 to West Ham. Sim went for 2-1 to Ipswich. I went for 1-1. And West Ham, that finishing the season off on a high. I think, what is that? 2 wins and a draw in their last 4 games. I heard a rumour that Graham Potter's leaving at the end of the season. Is that really? True?
I haven't heard anything. He said they're in for a big summer. He said exciting summer.
So he's not. But yeah, they probably finished off on the best form that Potter's shown since coming in.
Yeah, good win. Watching the highlights, it was definitely not simple. Ipswich definitely could add a few goals, but how many times have we said that with Ipswich, haven't we? Yeah. A big and again, Delap I think was left out in this game.
He's been left out quite a few times.
Maybe it's because he's leaving. Maybe they don't want to risk it, or maybe he's just doesn't have his heart in it. But a couple of good goals from Bowen and Kudus ending off the season here for West Ham. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them next season because they've got so much talent in that team. And also Paquetá, is he leaving? Probably at the end of the season.
They're saying he could be going back to Brazil now.
He could be leaving. So a bit of uncertainty for West Ham. But yeah, decent end of the season. Ipswich. What do you think happens to Kieran McKenna? Obviously, I don't think he gets sacked, but is he leaving? Is he going to go somewhere else? Or is he going to try and bring them back up from the Championship?
I'm trying to think of what Premier League teams are going to need managers going into next season. Not many.
Only the bottom. Yeah, so maybe us. That's the only one maybe you could look at. Like all the other teams are all very, very settled. Yeah. Pretty much the whole Premier League. You can't really see any of them losing their jobs.
So I think unless there's a Premier League job going, I think he stays.
What about, let's say, Leicester comes in for him? Would he go there, bigger club?
Nah, I think he would stay at Ipswich. Yeah.
Fairs. So yeah, because he was destined last season for Man United and Chelsea wanted him.
Yeah, look, if he smashes out the Championship again, or a Premier League job comes up mid-season, he could leave mid-season or something like that. But I think as of now, he'll stay. He's still a young manager. He's still a young manager making his name in the game, so I wouldn't be, quick to leave. Next up is Liverpool Palace, where Liverpool lifted the trophy. It finished 1-1. Sim went for 1-1. I went for 2-1 Liverpool. Sim gets a 5-pointer for this one. And it's just how Liverpool's end of the season have gone. They've been on the beach for a number of weeks now. And
haven't won a game, I think, since they confirmed champions.
Yeah. And this is basically a pre-run for the Charity Shield or the Community Shield next season.
Yeah, and obviously good start for Palace, Sarte in the lead, then Gravenberg gets sent off with a last man challenge, deservedly. But Liverpool, look, to be fair, whenever Liverpool gone down to 10 men this season, they've been good. I remember their one game against Fulham, they went down to 10 men and were brilliant a few times. Like Slot has this way of playing with 10 men that doesn't stop them creating chances, which is very impressive. And they deservedly equalised, so fair play to them. There was a double guard of honour in this one, did you see?
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah, I heard both teams got a guard of honour, which was quite something.
Well, Palace did a guard of honour for Liverpool, and then Liverpool walked through, and then they split into a guard of honour, and then Palace walked through that guard of honour. So it was a double guard of honour. So fair play to both teams. Yeah, and
where was our guard of honour?
No guard of honour for Tottenham. Disgrace. But they finished in the end on 84. 10 points clear of Arsenal. 84 points, though, is 2 points less than Pochettino Spurs.
Yeah, I know. It's mad, isn't it?
So we would have won the league this season. Although, it's hard to say that because they'd won the league so early, you know what I mean? If it was still on the line, they probably would have got more points.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, it's a big summer for Liverpool now because with Trent leaving, they've brought in Frimpong. There's rumours they're going to get in Kirkes and Wirtz. I think Wirtz will get done. It looks like that is...
Wirtz, yeah, that looks like he's on the verge.
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty much happening. Over 100 million.
What a signing.
But with them not signing anyone last summer and them winning the league, if they kick on and have a real serious summer, they can put themselves in proper favourites for next season title again.
Yeah, Kirkes, I think, left hand side. Probably, I think, get rid of Nunes and go big on another forward player.
Yeah.
They're going to be a serious team.
Yeah.
I saw AFT.
Do you think they're early favourites for the title next season?
Well, some of the business they're doing, I was when losing Trent, and I thought it is a big blow. It is a big blow. But obviously, they've replaced Frimpong now. They're going to get, I think, probably if they get Kirkes and they're getting Wirtz, all of a sudden, of course, they're yeah, I would say so. For sure, right now, because Arsenal need a lot more business to be done. Depends who they get. Obviously, City probably need a lot more business to be done. So right now, with the business they're doing it early, they're favourites, but that could all change. If Arsenal go and get an Isak or something, all of a sudden that all changes.
Well, Isak ain't leaving. He's already said that he's it's already been confirmed that he's staying at Newcastle.
It doesn't have to be Isak specifically.
The choice is Sesko and Gyökeres. That's the choice.
Well, that's the choice right now. Things can change. Who knows? But if they get a serious striker, if they do get a Gyökeres, and also maybe some more, they can put themselves back in that conversation.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the business that Man City do, which we'll get into in a second. But Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 0. We both went for Villa wins. I went 2 and Sim went 1-0 in a game where Aston Villa were absolutely robbed. A massive game for them. Martinez puts them down to 10 men. And then there was that moment with 50 minutes to go when Rodgers puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah, and they got absolutely robbed. Rodgers tackled Bayinda. He didn't have any hands on the ball. Didn't have control of the ball. Rodgers puts it in the empty net, but the referee blows his whistle before the ball goes into the back of the net, and so VAR can't get involved. And that must be an absolute killer because they're down to 10 men. Martinez with a horrible rugby tackle on Højlund early on. And Villa, put themselves in a horrible situation in the first half, down to 10 men having to win the game. And with 20 minutes to go, they got that goal and you're thinking, wow, they're going to do this with 10 men. And they would have probably clung on to that win, I think. And to have that robbed of you, and then 2 minutes later, you concede a goal and all of a sudden it's over. You have to come back from 1-0 down with 10 men. It's never going to happen. And Emery was fuming on the touchline, fuming after the game, understandably so. When the margins are this thin for Champions League or Europa League, considering as well the you got to consider as well the kind of financial trouble they're potentially in with spending so much on wages. It's a massive blow for them, and this must be gut wrenching. Imagine how sick you'd feel being a Villa fan right now with that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, they've had a good season, Aston Villa, and Emery did come out after the game and says, Europa League is still a very good competition, and we're happy to be in it.
And if there's one manager you want in that competition,
it's true. And I make Aston Villa, one of the favourites to go and win that next season.
100%, and they were for the Conference League as well, which they didn't, but. Obviously, Emery has unbelievable pedigree in this European. Even this season, how they took PSG right to the wire. Yeah. He always seems to find a way in these European competitions. So, for sure, they become early favourites. I think him being the manager immediately makes them favourites.
Yeah, Man U, on the other hand, obviously losing Europa League final, finishing 16th. They did in the end, and
15th.
15th. Okay, fine.
The lofty heights of 15th.
Finished the season with a good 3 points at home to Aston Villa.
Played really well.
Which was a big game for them. And then on the back of it, they've signed Cunha. With all the and Cunha's been one of the best players in the Premier League this season, in my opinion. And all the talk about Man United are so broke and this and that, cutting wages and all this kind of stuff. Straight away, bang. With no Champions League revenue, with no kind of revenues for European football. 60 million on Cunha.
Fantastic
and
signing.
Potentially someone like Liam Delap coming through the door as well.
That's the rumours as well. And then there's talks from Buemo. So it looks like they might be splashing it anyway, regardless. But look, there's obviously talks of a massive clear out, so maybe they're planning for that as well. Garnacho leaving, potentially Bruno. They're saying Bruno actually might leave. So if he does leave, to be fair, that could be probably a big transfer fee and also a big wage packet. Big transfer fee and big wage packet. So if they get rid of him, and you can kind of make sense. You can get someone like Cunha through the door. Maybe that's already decided. Because I can't see them putting that big of outlay if there's not some guaranteed money in the door.
Yeah, I think the Garnacho replacement would have been Cunha.
Garnacho's leaving as well. Well, Bruno makes sense as well because he's a number 10, and Cunha's going to be one of the number 10s.
Yeah, I mean Cunha can play everywhere, can't he? Such a good player. As well. Up front on the wing. 10.
I think I envisage he'll probably be one of the number 10s, so he'll get number 9 as well. Although I want to because the Lap's coming in as a number 9. But he can play, as you say, across that front line. What a signing, I think, for Man United. And obviously, right now, after the season they've had, it's hard to get excited about anything, even Cunha coming in. Because to be fair, how many times have they got a big signing and they get excited and then turns out to be rubbish? So I understand for them, it's like
this is an actual significant signing because he's been one of the best players, if not, one of the best players in the Premier League this season.
But they've signed Pogba, they've signed all these big players, and it hasn't worked out. Sanchez, big, think guys you expect they're guarantees, right? Sanchez is a guarantee, Pogba is a guarantee, and it hasn't worked out. So especially the back off the season, they've just finished 15th and they've lost the Europa League final. It's probably hard to get excited about anything, but I think for me, it's a very exciting signing, isn't it? Cunha, I'm jealous. I wanted Cunha at Tottenham for sure. So it's a great signing. Good start to the summer for them. But obviously, Amorim apologising to the whole Man United fan base after the game. A lot of Man United fans I've seen on social media not happy with him at the moment, and a few wanting him out and turning. But obviously, it's confirmed he will be there next season. He's going to be manager, even though he offered to resign. Apparently, he will be there. And look, they need to give him that summer, don't they, to get his players?
Yeah, he said to the Man United fans that he apologises for the embarrassing season. But, the good times are coming, he said. Yeah. So let's see how it goes. And it is a scary, because Man United, whatever you want to say about them, one of the biggest clubs in world football, probably the biggest sleeping giant that you can see in football right now with where they finished in the league, and they're nowhere near where they should be. So if Amorim can get it together there and they make the right signings this summer, they can start to make their way back to the top.
I know European football, they're going to have that one game a week. Perfect for someone like Amorim to implement how he wants to play.
Exactly. Newcastle, Everton. This was another shock of the day. Everton 1-0 at St James Park, which was didn't
unbelievable.
End up to be a significant result, but it very well could have been when Newcastle kind of shut the bed a little bit.
Bottling all over the place. It
really was. We both went 2-0 to Newcastle. I was certain Newcastle were going to win this. Certain.
Yeah, it was a weird one. They had chances, but they just seem to sometimes when you've got a game like this against opponent, all opponents in the Premier League are difficult opponents, aren't they? And you kind of have to be on your game, often to win. And although Everton had nothing to play for, Newcastle had this because they just expected to win, and because of the magnitude of the game, it's kind of like they just were very they played the whole game with a certain level of urgency. They played the whole game like it was the last 10 minutes and they needed to get a goal. And it kind of just went against them a bit. And if they would have just played their natural game, then it would have been simpler. But they kind of panicked they had to play this desperation from minute one. And that led to them just playing into Everton's hands a bit, I felt, during the game. And Everton actually played really well. They had chances. It wasn't just a 1-0 backs against the wall. They played really well, Everton. So credit to them. Great win. Newcastle will breathe a big sigh of relief that loss, because even a draw for Villa, they would have been out. So Villa losing to United, massive sigh of relief for Newcastle. But they'll be in the Champions League next season. What a season, a trophy and a top 5 finish.
Yeah, so Eddie Howe now has got 2 Champions League finishes and a trophy for Newcastle. What a brilliant job he's done at St James's Park. Top manager Eddie Howe.
And a lot of times his position has been questioned.
Yeah.
Even this season at the beginning. As I said, when I think on December time, they were below Tottenham in the league.
Yeah.
And his position was questioned. Last season, the position was questioned heavily, and he keeps coming through it.
Yeah, look, fantastic job that he's done. Another Champions League finish. This time a bit lucky, to be honest, but it is what it is. They got there, and they're in the Champions League next season. That's all that matters. When they're playing Champions League football next season, no one's going to be looking back at this season saying how lucky they were on the last day.
But obviously, Newcastle have completely revolutionised themselves since getting the new owners. But there's always also kind of that feeling like they've clearly gone up levels, but are they? Because the money they have, everyone's waiting for this massive summer where they spend loads and loads. Is it going to happen this summer?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they stand on PSR and everything like that. So, look, if they would have got these owners the same time that Man City got the owners, or the same time Chelsea got the owners, they would have had that summer already. But because of the financial restrictions, they haven't been able to do that. So I believe I don't know, because I don't know the full ins and outs, but I believe that this summer they're able to spend more than what they usually have. But you look at their team, they've got a really good side.
They just need, in terms of first 11, I would say midfield, one of the best, The front line, Gordon and Isaac, brilliant. Just need a right winger. Get someone like Mbeumo in, and that's one of the best front lines. Back line, probably need. I think centre backs probably need to start upgrading those. I would say, and maybe a fullback as
They
well.
just need a partner for Botman.
Partner for Botman. Shah's just getting on a bit. He's good still, but I don't know if you can rely on him to play every game now. You need a partner for Botman when he's fully fit.
Well, Dan Burn and Shah both 33 years old.
Yeah,
so.
and I think fullbacks. Livermento's good and Hall is good, but you probably just need to look at get a fullback as well there because Trippier's getting on.
Yeah.
And left back, Matt Targett's not great, and Dan Burn, left back. I don't think he play left back anymore. So they need some investment, but they've got the nucleus of a very, very good team.
Up to 100%. They're going in the right direction. Howe's doing a good job. It's just about how they manoeuvre the situation now, and I'm sure they've got good people behind the scenes there at Newcastle, and I'm sure they'll be making the right decisions.
Yeah.
Next up is Nottingham Forest against Chelsea. It finished 2-0.
Well, it finished 1-0 actually.
It finished 1-0 at the City Ground, did it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it finished 1-0 at the City Ground. We both went for 1-1, and Nottingham Forest finally, finishing the season how they've been over the past 5 or 6 weeks, of completely shitting the bed.
They did, unfortunately. It's a shame,
completely
isn't it?
shut the bed. But credit to Chelsea for getting into the Champions League after their wobble in the second half of the season. But Nottingham Forest will be playing Conference League football next season.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as it is a disappointment not to get into the Champions League, not to get into the Europa League, they will be one of the favourites to get the Conference League next season.
It was really that Leicester game that did it, wasn't it? 2-2 at home to Leicester.
Yeah. When
they're relegated. Those 2 points would have meant they finished fifth. And those 2 points were the difference in Conference League and being where they are now. So it must be absolutely gutting for them to miss out the way they have. Obviously, if you offered them 7th at the beginning of the season, they chew your hand off for that and more. Like, it's an unbelievable season for them, considering they were 17th last season. Massive jump up. But still, the way it ended and the fact they were literally, I think not long ago, they were 3rd and there was something like 8 or 9 points clear of 6th, and they looked a shoo-in. And it really has been a collapse from them. And look, as we've said before, teams like them, when they get in that position, often they do get nosebleeds being so high up. It has happened before with a lot of clubs, and they fall away a bit, and the pressure gets to them. Unfortunately, it did happen with them. I feel bad for them, but Conference Leagues are good. Look, to be fair, Conference League is a competition they can definitely win. That's a competition they can win next season. So I think they should be aiming to do that. But I do envisage I could see a drop off for them in the league next season, especially when you add the European games, because I think they're going to take that. They're going to take that Conference League seriously.
Yeah, of course they will.
They will, and they're going to play their first team there, and that's going to affect them, I'm sure. So I think there'll probably be a drop off for them, and the opportunity of being in the Champions, when they were in the Champions League spots, they were being linked with people like Gyökeres. They were being linked with a lot of big names, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, 2 wins since that Villa game on the 5th of April for them, which is disastrous form when you consider the form they were in before that. It's just a massive blow, and we saw Marinakis come on the pitch a few weeks ago and have a go at Nuno. He must be fuming. And I've heard there's been some rumours that there are still some tensions there between Nuno and Marinakis, and Nuno could actually leave at the end of this season. And if I'm Marinakis, I'm getting my hands and knees to Nuno and begging him to stay because he's done a phenomenal job.
But if he has done a phenomenal job this season, but now they're in the Conference League, could it be beneficial to get someone else in? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Nuno's done fantastic, but as I said, the way they play is just very it's a very counter-attacking defensive, and I do think it kind of caught up with them a bit. They couldn't at the end when push came to shove, when it came to crunch time, actually get over the line with some of these games. And
I guess it's interesting.
Maybe if there's a manager potentially who goes out and attacks a bit more, maybe it could benefit them. But maybe they should just, they know how Nuno's
they need to play this way because who they are. They're Nottingham Forest. You know what I mean? They were one of the candidates people were talking about relegation this season. They finished 7th in the league.
Yes, but you look at their team and you got Murillo and Milenkovic, brilliant centre backs. They got Gibbs White, brilliant midfielder. Woods obviously been on fire this season.
I think Gibbs White's going to end up leaving this summer though. So if Gibbs White leaves, he's like the hub of that team. That's massive loss for them. Massive loss. And I wouldn't be surprised if some teams are interested in someone like Elliot Anderson as well, because I think he's a phenomenal player.
When you look at Chelsea, and if they end up finishing fourth, what an end to the season. It all changed with that Chelsea game. They were drawing, in fact losing until late on. They got a last-minute winner.
Chelsea game with who?
Huh?
Chelsea game with who?
With Fulham.
Oh, Fulham.
That was like a few weeks ago. It all changed. They were 1-0 down with a few minutes to go, carrying on some poor form. Turned it around, and they've just gone on a great run from now to the end of the season and just got over the line.
That's what momentum can do for you. That's what momentum can do for you. And they rode that momentum, and, you know, they've got a Conference League final on Wednesday as well. So, I mean, everyone's fully expecting them to win that. But it's not an easy game. It's Betis. You know, Betis are a decent side. So
I was really hoping, I was just envisaging, like, if they lost this game and then lost the final, they would be back in the Conference League next season. And that would have been amazing. But fair play to them. They got the win. They didn't just draw, which I think a draw would have been enough for them in the end. But they actually got the win. And they've proved a lot of people wrong in this run-in, because they weren't playing well, and they've just seemed to get over the line in this run-in impressively. So fair play to them. They will be playing Champions League. Maresca at the end said, he said in England you say F you or F off or something to people who doubt you, and that's what he did. Although there was a wild celebration in the dressing room. A lot of people saying, is it over the top? A team like Chelsea, should they be that happy getting Champions League? But I guess in the context of how the last few seasons have gone, being back in the Champions League is probably a bigger thing now for them.
Yeah, it's a massive thing for Chelsea people. Like, how many times in the last 4 years have they played Champions League football?
Well, it's only been the last two, hasn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still
under Potter and under Poch, those
still
2
a significant time for them to be out of the Champions League.
So back for the first time in 3 years.
And also, since Roman has left and Bowley's come in, like, they've gone in a complete different direction, just young players. Like, if it was like John Terry and Lampard celebrating like that for Champions League, like, yeah, fair enough, that's not going to happen. But because of where Chelsea are at right now and with the demographic of the squad, like, I think it's fair enough.
Yeah, fair. And Levi Colwill, Chelsea boys scoring the winner as well. So fair play to them. Yeah, fair play. And if they win the Conference League as well, Conference League and a trophy and a top 4, good season.
Yeah. Southampton Arsenal finished 2-1 to Arsenal on the day. I went 3-1. You went 3-0. Kieran Tierney, I think his last game for Arsenal, gets on the score sheet. He started at centre back, which was a weird one, and Odegaard scoring in the last minute to win the game for Arsenal. But the best moment of the game is the Southampton fans. You know, credit to them, because they were singing "Spurs have got more trophies."
Tottenham Hotspur, they've won more than you. Love it.
Brilliant stuff. The shithousery was immaculate.
Yeah, fantastic. Important news as well for Southampton. Will Still taking over there, which is a very interesting appointment. Yeah, he was at the game. Very interesting appointment, that Will Still, because he's had such a great time of it in France on two different clubs. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does in the Championship next season for Southampton. A good club to take over probably in right now. So it'll be very interesting to see how it gets on. But yeah, Arsenal, they won the game. It was very interesting to see. I saw a tweet from AFTV though, which didn't make any sense to me. Like, Liverpool finished on 84 points, and they said. They compared 84 Liverpool this season with Arsenal 89 last season, and the tagline was "Our floor is their ceiling." It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense, because your ceiling was 89, and that was last season. Your floor is like now. This is your floor, 74, and they've finished like I don't understand how that makes any sense.
They said our floor is your ceiling.
Yeah.
When
that's their ceiling, is the record points total was 89. So how is it their floor? How is their record points total their floor? Doesn't make sense. That's their ceiling. Like, that makes no sense. I don't understand why. Like, you're on 74 points now. So how is that? This is your floor, surely.
Stupid people.
So I don't understand what they're saying. They're trying to make the point they had more points last season than Liverpool this season, but
who cares?
First of all, who cares? But the tagline, "Our floor is your ceiling," makes no sense. Makes no sense at all.
Arsenal fans are a special breed. That's all we can say. They're a special breed, Arsenal fans.
They need something to cling on to after the season, because they're going to end with no European trophy, less than Tottenham.
But look, congratulations to the Arsenal women winning the Champions League, bringing some pride to the football club. What can I say?
Some Arsenal fans trying to say it's bigger than the men's Europa League.
Yeah, look, it is what it is. Like, congratulations to them. That's all I'm going to say. Like, it is still a good achievement for the club, and
for the women's team, it's a good achievement. Yeah,
very good achievement. Tottenham Brighton finished 4-1 to Brighton at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We both went for 3-0 to Brighton, so we clearly knew what was coming. Look, I thought under all the circumstances that Spurs put on a decent showing in the first half, went in at halftime 1-0 up. But yeah, we just couldn't carry on, and it was just, it just caught up with us, didn't it?
Yeah, I think all the drinking did. But who cares? European champions. In terms of Brighton, though, Hertzler, 8th in his first season. I think he's gone under the radar a bit because maybe there's been some inconsistencies. But Brighton finishing 8th, I know. Did
they get Conference League?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Why not?
Didn't. 8th never became it in the end.
Did it not?
No.
Okay. Because they were celebrating like mad. I thought maybe they'd got Conference League.
No, they didn't get it. They just finished 8th.
So what if Chelsea win the conference? Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Doesn't Europa League doesn't drop down one?
No.
Where does that Europa League spot go then?
I don't know. Not to us, I don't think. Because it goes somewhere in Europe, I think.
Okay.
But still, it's gone under radar. Maybe Hertzler that finished 8th this season. Maybe because he's off the back of like Potu's done well, De Zerbi's done well. But he's carried that on, hasn't he? And he hasn't allowed them to slip down. They're very good at picking their managers, Brighton, and Hertzler seems like another good one.
Yeah. He said he was going to give us a guard of honour.
I know. That's what I'm disappointed in. Very disappointed.
Not a man of his word, Hertzler.
Unlike Postecoglou.
Exactly. But they got to be a bit disappointed as well because they finished 8th. Crystal Palace finished 12th. And Crystal Palace will be the ones playing European football next season.
Bit of a gut punch. They lose bragging rights this season, and as well, Palace won a trophy, and they didn't. So they lose the bragging rights this season to Palace, but still a good season. And for all the talk of Iraola to Tottenham and Frank and these guys, why isn't Hertzler being talked about?
Because it's, I don't know, first year in the job. Maybe he's not in line to leave or something. I think he wants to carry on the job he's doing.
But he finished higher than all of them.
Yeah, he did. And credit to him. But also, he spent the most out of anyone in the Premier League. The amount that they spent was crazy. They spent like 200 million this summer.
They got all these regens. Who is this Gomez who scored an absolute howitzer? Another regen. Who is he? He was brilliant. Won the penalty. Scored a brilliant goal. I've seen him in other games as well. He's been quite good. This guy could be another gem they found.
They signed him.
FM regens they have.
They signed him in the summer from Inter Miami. 13 million.
These FM regens. He was crying when he scored.
But they've spent so much money.
But that's because they've gotten so much money.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I'm saying they spent so much money. So, I mean, they should, for the amount of money they spent, they should be finishing around 8th.
But they lost all their best players. Literally. All their best players.
Yeah.
You can't say every team who lose their best players should be like Southampton years ago lost all their best players. They got a lot of money, but they didn't manage it well. And in fact, they went down, and now they're in the position they are, yo-yoing because of how they manage that situation. So it's easier said than done, just spending all that money.
Yeah, it's true.
And they've lost, Caicedo, Cucurella, anyone you can think of, they lost for big money. But that's part of their model. They plan for it. If they get a good offer, you sell and you reinvest. So I don't think it's as simple as they spent all that money and look how good they are. This is part of their model.
Yeah, it's true. But another nice moment in the game yesterday was James Milner coming on for the last minute. 39-year-old in the Premier League, so many caps to his name. Surely that's the last we've seen of him.
Well, yeah, probably.
But surely he's not staying on another year at Brighton.
I don't know. Is he out of contract?
I don't know, but he must be.
Must
39.
Be. 39. He's been injured most of the season, hasn't he? So I think maybe he's catching up with him. Been a great Premier League player, though, hasn't he? Yeah. Even last season at Brighton, I thought he was quite good.
A decent season.
Yeah, decent. But this season, I think age may be finally catching up with him.
Last but not least, Wolves won, Brentford won. We both went for 2-2. Wasn't like the goal fest that we were kind of envisaging. But, Mbuemo puts them 1-0 up with an unbelievable season he's had. Menezes levels it up with 50 minutes to go. Menezes gone a bit under the radar. I think he's been decent for Wolves this season. But, it's all about Mbuemo.
20 goals.
Unbelievable. 20. I mean, he's got 20. Wissa's got 19. These guys have carried Brentford this season. Yeah,
losing Tony, they've more than filled the void, haven't they? And fair play to Thomas Frank for finding a way to play without Tony and so successfully finishing 10th. Another top half finish for him. So what a season for Brentford. A great end to the season as well. They ended the season in really good form. But Mbuemo, Norgard, I think a few weeks ago said he's probably on the move. He reckons maybe Wissa as well. look, Brentford will have to probably somehow find a way of replacing both of them. But knowing them, they probably will do it because as long as they keep Frank anyway, they'll probably find a way to replace him because he just finds a way to keep going, Frank and Brentford. But
Frank's staying.
In Mbeumo, where is he going to go? If he's really fulfilling that potential now? Is he 20 goals, 20 Premier League goals? He's really gone for that player who was really exciting, but maybe a bit frustrating in the final third. Where now he's a player who's getting 20 Premier League goals.
Sign him up, Daniel. Get him in because he's what we need in the position that we need. Imagine Mbeumo and Brennan are our right wing options for next season.
Mm-hmm.
That is good.
Yeah, I really think he's probably going to slot in at Newcastle. I got that feeling. He's just so perfect for them, like so perfect.
Why not us?
Us as well, but we have a right winger who's currently on 18 goals. I'm not saying Mbeumo's not better than him. He is. Don't get me wrong, but like Newcastle have literally got no one there in that right wing slot. You know what I mean? He's just like they'll go all out to make him their number one target. Will we do that? We should, but we won't.
If we're serious, we would.
I would like to say we will, but I just feel like Newcastle will say like you come here, starting every game, you're going to be the star of this team. I like for us, it's like you're going to be competing with Brennan, who's on 18 goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we've all said all season Brennan needs some serious competition, and that's what it looks like. I
agree with you. I'd get him in. I just think he would go to Newcastle.
All right. Star men, Sim went for Evan Nilsson. I went for Semenyo. The head-to-head actually worked for once in my favour.
Evan Nilsson bloody missing an open goal in the first half. That sums up my season.
Yeah, and Bournemouth won 2-0. Semenyo scored both of them. So I end off on 423. Sim ends off on 375. That's what? Nearly 50 points. 48 points.
It's a shocker for me. Absolute shocker.
Another season, another win. And I've done the double this season. A European champion and a Predict the Prem champion.
It's equivalent of 17th.
Once again. Come on.
It's a three-peat.
It really is. 3 in a row, Sim. So you'll never win 3 in a row.
2 on the last day, and this season has been a bit of a battery.
This has been such a glory season. See, my eyes have seen the glory. My eyes have seen the glory. Come on, people.
A lot of luck this season. A lot of luck. So I've just been unfortunate.
Absolute battering. This is probably the biggest gap out of all those 3 years.
Although the older ones have been very close. You won on the last day. I've been in the lead in the last day going to the last 2 years and lost it, but this year's been a bit of a blowout. It's like when you keep going and then you've had those disappointments and then you just let yourself go.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago there was a kind of a close kind of start to a comeback, but it just didn't materialise.
It's my star men. I'm gonna have to give him a big talking this season. I think my star men let me down big time.
I want to look because I've got all my star men here. I want to look at who I didn't use. So I didn't use Gakpo. I didn't use Rodgers, João Pedro, Mitoma, Son, Beto.
I didn't use Son either, yeah.
Which is mad. Never used Sonny. Did I use any Spurs players?
You must have. I think you used Brennan. I think he scored when you used him.
Solanke, I used Solanke and Brennan. That's it. But yeah, I'm taking the win once again. Taking the win once again.
Well done.
Come on.
We go again next season. Not been good. I need to completely rethink my strategy next season, I think. Just complete overhaul. Clear out the philosophy. It might take 2 to 3 years to implement, but it's got to be a complete summer of change for me, I think.
We just need to keep building on the success. So.
No, he's going to get ahead of himself. He's going to let himself go. He's going to get.
I was ahead of myself going into this season, and it was the biggest lead I've had ever.
You're going to get too confident. Yeah, I can feel it.
Big up to everyone. That is the end of Predict and Review the Prem. Over the course of the next week or so, we'll be also reacting to our pre-season predictions and everything like that. So I'm very much looking forward to looking back in time for those. One members chat here before we let you go is from Bobby K, and he's been a member for 39 months.
It's Bobby K.
Bobby, you are a European champion, my friend. And he says, big up boys and the chat. Champions of Europe, baby.
Come on, Bobby K. So ending the poll.
Yeah, what's the poll saying?
2,681 votes. It does end 62% in, 38% out. The Twitter poll, 3,654 votes currently. It's going to be ongoing. 65.2 in, 34.8 out. So not much change despite the influx in votes. Still been fairly similar. So yeah, about 62%. 63%, I think the average would be 64% in. So still pretty solidly in, but it's not insignificant out, I would say.
Well, there you have it. Ange in, people. Let's see if Levy makes the decision or not. We have to come to some sort of decision pretty soon because this is we can't go on like this. We need to plan ahead for next season. Exactly. Someone in the comments says, Sim, you are Netflix FC.
Oh God, next season, come on.
You are literally Predictor Prem's Arsenal. Always second again, ole ole. Second again, ole ole. Second again. Second again. Second again, ole ole. All right, we'll see you soon, people. We'll be back in the studio for some more content tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.